running for local office in the state of North Carolina and in the city of Raleigh, where our proud governor, Roy Cooper, is our governor, where he sits highly at the governor's mansion working for us in North Carolina on behalf of North Carolinians each and every day. And I have been, first of all, I'm an educator um, with the Wake County Public School System, going on 5 years in teaching in Wake County, but I've been in educational advocacy my whole career. And I'm going into my 25th year of doing so. And of course, I volunteer with many different things with my Democratic Party in the state of North Carolina, but I also serve currently with the Young Dems of Wake County, serving as the officer and secretary. And then lastly, I serve in the highest advocacy role and a sworn in role and that is none other than advocating for educators across the state of North Carolina, where I advocate to the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction, advocating to them and holding legislatures accountable in our state and making sure that every voice is heard and that our students are successful. And I'm chair of that advocacy committee, going on my fourth term in that role. This will be my last term in that role. So folks, that's just a little bit about yours truly. But tonight, we have some very special guests, which I would like to introduce at this time. But before I do, for those who do not know the rules of my spaces, of course, we will have civility and decorum at all times. At all times. And I got two awesome co-hosts who are gonna guide me through this evening as I am just now re-entering spaces as host. But I want us to know that every voice in here is gonna get heard. I don't know about you all, but I like every voice getting heard. So every voice will get heard. But in order for that to happen, folks, I want you to know that we will not talk over each other. Um, we will continue to have civility and decorum, and we will not tolerate hatred and bigotry in here. I'm gonna repeat that one more time because I don't think everybody heard me. We will not tolerate hatred and bigotry in this space this evening. And last but not least, we're gonna talk about democracy, and we're going to move forward in making sure that even though there's been some sad news today, yes, we're going to talk about that this evening. And we're going to talk about how we're going to move forward. But we need to continue on making sure that we are respectful, that we are making sure that we're looking out for each other while in this space um, this evening. One of my special guests I would like to introduce to you. He's been a dear friend, a mentor, um, and he's been one of my key. I don't know if I should say advisor because he's really given me a lot of great advice as far as the campaign, and I hope he does get to speak this evening. He is a proud Democrat, advocating for the American people, even as an elected official himself. Um, and he has served and continues to serve our great nation with great pride, and advocating for Democrats across this great country. And that's none other than Robert Marino. And I would like to thank him publicly on behalf of the campaign and legal team, um, for for being that voice, and for making sure that whatever advice I need, he's always been at the beck and call. We've spoken at out different hours of the time because in California it's 3 hours behind Eastern Standard Time. So we spoke at some weird times and we had some difficult conversations that had to be had. But he has been one of the best part of the team, and I'm looking forward to him speaking this evening. And then, lastly but not least, my two great co-hosts. Sharky, she is here. I've been in her spaces. Awesome, awesome, awesome individual. Advocating for democracy. Um, and of course, I have Mr. Reader, who has been in Noah's spaces co-hosting, and I'm so glad that he accepted the invitation to co-host with me tonight. Um, so, folks, you know, when we heard the news today of President Biden and him dropping out of the race, and I know I'm going to get to hear from each of you as to what came to mind, but I want us to know something today, and that is that we need to continue. We need to. I don't even know how to begin, because a lot of what happened today was a shock to many. It was a shock to many. The whole world was watching when that announcement took effect. But I want us to know today that he has done a lot for the country. He has done a lot for the country, from COVID, making sure that it was managed within the first 100 days, making sure that there was vaccinations in arms, money in people's pockets. And then after COVID died down just for a little bit, he went to work for the American people. And one of the biggest things that I came to find when he had the Democratic House and Senate, folks, we got to have the Democrat House and Senate back. We got to have the House back from Republicans. They have destroyed democracy at every turn you could think of. They have broken every rule in the law book. But the good part about Joe Biden stepping aside, folks, is that he is now going to be able to finish out the rest of his term and continuing delivering for the American people. I will also be releasing a statement in the coming days as to the support for Kamala Harris to be the next nominee. As we know, we are less than 30 days from the convention, which by God's grace, I will be there in Chicago representing North Carolina by God's grace. Um, and we need to continue on, folks. This is not the time for us to be debating on whether or not we should be backing Kamala Harris. This ain't the time for that. This is not the time and the place for us to be stupid and acting like jerks, because let me tell you, we will lose in the end if we do not support the vice president currently for the November election cycle. I want you to know, folks, it is sad, yes, that Joe Biden has exited this race. But we need to remember that Joe Biden has done a lot for this nation. From being a senator in the early decades of his career, all the way to being vice president for 8 years, for two consecutive terms. Him and Obama worked on big things, stimulus packages, going on the world stage, and dealing with Israel and Ukraine and many other things. So yes, it is a sad day, but I'm going to leave you with this as I turn the mics over to the co-hosts for their opening remarks. But I want you to know that we are ready. We are ready to equip the Madam Vice President to become the first woman president ever. You know that, folks? She will be the first woman president ever. And not only the first woman, but she'll be the first Asian, She'll be the first African American woman to have graced the office of the presidency of these United States. We have to not back down now. Yes, we know that it is a sad moment. And for the next couple of days, the news media is going to try their malarkey. But I want you to know, folks, that polling does not determine who goes into office. The American people determine who goes into office, who goes out of office. So I, folks, for one, do not do well with polling, because I want you to know polling is there sometimes to manipulate and to misconstrue the reality of what is to come. So I want you to know as I close that we must continue on advocating to make sure that we have Roe versus Wade codified. We need to make sure that we continue advocating for the infrastructure law that was passed. We need to continue making sure that we have big investments in our country so that the American people know that leadership and Democrats are going to do in accordance to the American people's desires and will. And not only that, we need to make sure that we gain the House back. We need to make sure that we maintain the Senate. And we need to make sure, above all, that democracy is preserved. So, folks, that's what is at stake here. Democracy is at stake. And we must support the next Democratic nominee. But it is indeed a high day because we know now that Joe Biden himself endorsed the Madam Vice President. So when many of us, for those of us who were elected delegates to the convention, and those of us who will be going as candidates and many other different things, I want us to know today that we need to be rallying around the future nominee. I can't say she has secured that nomination because I'll be lying before you today. But hopefully at this convention, we will have the next nominee for the presidency of the United States. And that is none other than Kamala D. Harris. Thank you so much, everyone. I'm looking forward to such an awesome space. And now I'm going to turn it over to the co-hosts for their remarks. Thank you.
I'll let the woman go first. Sharky.
No, I'll definitely defer to you.
Okay. Well, Daniel just said a whole word. Um, I done got my emotions out. I done cried, tears of joy, sadness. It was emotional. I thank God I wasn't at work when I seen the news. I was on a TikTok. I was on a political TikTok live. A Democrat, of course, because I don't have time for MAGA. But I had got in the shower and I still had it playing. Then when I got out, I was hearing all this noise and I was like, oh, we're doing this again. Another day of people's sources saying that he's dropping out. But then I was like, this can't be real. This can't be real. Then I came to Twitter and I seen his posts and I skimmed over it. And then I was like, wait, hold on. Let me read it. The tears that came out of my eyes were so effortlessly, they just started flowing. I was like, oh my God, this cannot be real. I was just so emotional. I was like, see, this is what I'm talking about. The media, the these pundits, these they bullied the best president of a lifetime out of seeking reelection. They should be ashamed of themselves. And I'm telling you, the karma that's going to be on them, watch out. Because the president is going to be living his best life in retirement. And he's out of this political crap with y'all. Y'all are bullies. Y'all have no respect for your elders. Y'all are sick human beings to All the news outlets, CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, you're sick. You're absolutely sick. You have been throwing this down our throat for the past going on a month. Get over it. You got what you want. And if you think you're going to play with the vice president wants all the smoke with you guys. She's not going anywhere. Now you're really going to be mad because she's the presumptive nominee. She's going to be the nominee at the DNC. To anybody who wants to play games at the DNC, I just want to let you know that whatever antics that you try to play, it's not going to work. The Vice President of the United States will become the first female President of the United States of America. I'm just letting you know that. And to anybody who says that she's not black, I'm going to need you to kiss my ass. Okay? Jamaican is black, you dummies. You need to learn race. I'm talking fast. Let me slow down. You need to learn race. She's black, she's Asian, and it ain't nothing you're gonna do about it. Um, what else? I am just so glad that I already knew after I got my crying out, I was like, wait, hold on. There's no way that man of vice president is about to let us go to a dictatorship. She's about to step in, show y'all what's good. It was just announced a couple minutes ago that in the first 5 hours, she raised $27 million. Play with your mama, not with her. $27 million. Make sure you go donate. I've donated $200. Yes, this was my first time. I didn't donate to the Biden Harris campaign, which is crazy. But after the president say that he was going to end his reelection campaign, I was like, oh, and I will, starting this week, because it's Sunday, starting this week, I will be in the streets of red old South Carolina, knocking on these doors in the suburbs that I live in. Absolutely. This is not This is nothing to play with. We're not going back to Donald Trump. We're going to have the first female president, and it's nothing that you maggots are going to do about it. Donald Trump, you're scared. You just said that you were not going to. Now you're making an excuse not to go to the September debate. You're scary. JD Vance, you're a op. You're nobody. Nobody likes you. You're Project 2025 as a headstone. Um, and to whoever, oh, and then I'm gonna close my mic. I just want to let y'all know, to anybody, I'm not listening to anybody who says I'm not entertaining. I'm standing beside a two-person black ticket. A two-person black ticket. I don't want no white man. I'm tired. I'm sorry. No, I'm not sorry. Let me stop lying. I don't want another white man as vice president. I don't. I'm tired of seeing it. I need two people of color. Um, the the vice president said that while she may be the first in this office, she won't be the last. And even though this time is different and she probably didn't expect to for it to go like this, I highly doubt that she's going to pick, well, I'm not going to say highly doubt, but I'm going to say highly doubt. I think she's going to pick another woman, or it might be a man. It might be a man. But I'm just letting you know that's not going to be a white man. It's going to be someone of color. People might say that ticket is we're not going to win with a two people of color ticket, but we're tired of the we're tired of the white people on the ticket. And that's another reason why she's going to be at the top of the ticket. She's not going to be the vice president for another white man. Are y'all dumb? What's going on? Why was she VP for another white male? Make it make sense. And I say all of this to say that to the Republicans, to the MAGAs, I'm just letting you know you are in for a rude awakening if you thought that this was going to keep us down. We are on your necks. Texas, Florida, all you red states, watch out because Madam VP is coming to clear y'all. She's going to win. If you don't like her, take it up with your mama because there's nothing you're going to do about it. You might have scared the president away from seeking re-election, even though he's finishing out his term. I'm just letting you know to MSNBC, CNN, Fox News, the vice president is not going nowhere. I can promise you that. You are not going to run her out of this position. Absolutely not. You tried that with our old guy and bullied him to not seek for re-election. But I'm telling you, media, look out. It's not going to go well for you. Madam VP is in here. She's going to be the president, and there's nothing you're going to do about it. Make sure you go donate, knock on these doors, get energized. If you got your emotions, get your emotions out this these coming days. Then after that, put them tears in your pocket and go knock on them doors. Go get people to register to vote because this is not a game. We're not going to a dictatorship. We're not playing with Project 2025. This is serious business, and we are going to make sure we win in November. Thank you.
Thank you. You know, folks, we are going to win in November. And for those who have doubts, and for those who have concerns, and for those who have all sorts of feelings, like I was told today, get over it. I was told that today in a meeting that I had. And I said, you know what? I said, I'm not going to get over my feelings. So, yes, we need to hear, Madam Co-host, thank you so much for taking on the invitation to come and to co-host. I know you normally don't do this, but I hope tonight we can have some powerful speakers. I already see two powerful speakers, um, and two of them I know already. So I'm looking forward to that as well. So, Madam Co-host. I don't know if you want to. Yeah, there you go.
Oh, I didn't hear the last thing you said. It might have sounded like you cut off. Were you directing that at whatever you just said at me? Because it sounded like it cut
Yeah,
off.
I'm sorry. Technology has been sucking today for the most
Mm-hmm.
part, but if you want to go ahead and open remarks, you can.
Yeah, no, it's just really brief. My name's Ray. I am a shark activist. I'm a climate change activist. Totally separate. I also run political spaces. Um, right now we have some breaking news. Right, one of the reasons why I came on today, which is another weekend that is major political news, major historic news. Are we ever going to get a break, right? But it's also saddening news that our president, who's still our president, guys, um, is stepping down. We have Kamala Harris with his endorsement. I'm a big fan of Kamala Harris. I have always been a big fan of Kamala Harris. One of the major things that I think is important to address really quickly, I threw that up there in the nest, is that Nikki Haley voters. So this is forgive me. I'm hoping because I don't want to say packed. But Political Action Committee actually endorsed Kamala Harris. So I think there's some positivity in the bleakness of the news that came today. And I think it's completely okay to go through those stages of grief, right? A lot of us were shocked, then we were angry and sad and all these emotions, but we kind of do have to get it together for democracy here. Um, I'm 10 toes down for Kamala. I think Dems are getting behind this in a bigger way than maybe we realized. Just personally, this is my personal opinion. I don't know how big of a hand she's going to be in selecting the VP for her, but I trust her judgment. Completely understand what my other co hosts had said. It would be great to see two women, specifically women of color, on this ticket. If it happens to be a white male, or Pete Buttigieg, who is a good friend of hers that stands for the LGBTQ plus community, great. But I'm 100% for Kamala. I think we really have this unique opportunity that is completely unprecedented, and everything about this is completely unprecedented. So I think that's great. I would encourage anyone in the room to raise their hands, so that we can have that discourse. A lot of times people talk over each other, and if you don't know how to do that, you'd hit that heart button way at the bottom, the plus sign, go all the way over to the right. It looks like this, so that we know that you want to speak. Obviously, this is Daniel's room, and Madam VP is the co-host, so we definitely want respect. Just to kind of piggyback on what Daniel said, I think there's a lot of positivity that can come from this. This would be completely not only unexpected, but how wonderful would it be to kick Trump's ass with not only a female, but a black woman stepping in over his bullshit. And, that's really all I have to say about it, because when I run my political rooms, I typically like to hear from other people. I'll interject here or there. But I think this can be a win for Democrats. Let them bitch, let them post their stupid memes, let them burn their Biden shirts and all the shit that they've been talking about. I do think the former guy, I tend to call him the Fourth Reich. I think we all know who I'm talking about. Donald Trump is probably shaking in his boots or his non shoes. That was a joke because of the attempted assassination. I do try to give myself a little bit of levity here. Where, she is someone that was a former prosecutor. She knows how to handle him. We saw Biden initiate so many amazing policies that she did have a hand in, that was blocked by Republicans, such as the Pell grants, even though he has now canceled 165 billion in debt and is still continuing to not stop until he is no longer our president. I think that's amazing. But, Kamala was someone, I've been saying this from the beginning, that, works in tandem with him with policies and different things like that. So you're going to see two sides to this. You're going to see the policies, but you're also going to see someone very strong and young, because they can't stop. They can't say that anymore. Now they have the oldest president, right? That is going to go in and completely obliterate Donald Trump and a lot of these fear mongering tactics that he does. She's not going to stand for it. I can see it already. I think this is going to be really exciting for Democrats. And regardless of why Biden stepped down, it was very disgusting to see within our own party the infighting, pushing him out. But it might just be, hey, he is older. He's trying to do the best for democracy. And maybe he wants to see those grandchildren. We can't speculate and live a few more years, right? Like, not live, but it's taxing, but like have those years with his family. So we can't assume why he did it, but he did it for the good of our country, as he's done a lot of things. And I'm, again, 10 toes down for Kamala Harris. I think anyone speaking out against this is ridiculous. I think anyone thinking that there's going to be another presidential nominee is naive. We just have to get the other people in our party behind this and endorse her. And it's slowly happening. I mean, I really think this tweet up here in the nest for Nikki Haley voters to announce support for Kamala Harris says some things. People are tired of Trump. We do not want to be in a fascist state. And I think Kamala Harris is a beautiful pick. And remember, guys, really quick before I land my plane, if something had gone right, let's say Biden had become our president, if something were to happen to him, just like it has always been, at least for the last 3.5 years, Kamala would have stepped in as president. So I don't know why this is so alarming. I think to some people, I mean, she would have been the president anyway. And I'm very, very proud to vote for her. as we go along with this. And anyone, in my personal opinion, it's your room, Daniel, and of course to Madam VP Impact over here. I think if you don't stand for her, I think there's some issues with you, and I think we might know what those issues are. But 10 toes down for Kamala. So thank you for letting me speak. That's just a little bit about me, and maybe we can go to some hands. Again, it's your room, Daniel. Feel free.
Well, before we get to those hands, you know, folks, I want you to know. I want you to know that we are ready. Um, you know, even in the meetings I've been to today, with my campaign folks, you know, we have really come to a reality, um, and I think Kamala is not gonna just do the bare minimum, you know, as many speculators have said, but we have already set the tone that that there will be a positive outcome from this, and we will have the House back. Republicans, they're so counting on winning this election, but as it's been said many times in many ways, that we have to move forward. And I know the chairman of the National Convention had a strong message today, and he made it clear that Joe Biden has really uh, continued the service for the country and put the country needs ahead of his own. We've seen that today, folks, even as he serves the rest of his term. And with that, I'm going to yield to Keith, followed by Mike. Thank you very much.
Hey guys, just a quick note. I noticed, maybe some of you have already seen this, but Adam Mockler, he's on Midas Touch. He's a young Gen Z guy who posts a lot of political analysis and whatnot. But at any rate, he just posted a video on Trump's reaction. I put it in the sort of messaging appended to this room. I mean, long story short, he's basically freaking out right now because all of his messaging is gone. And Kamala Harris has already hit the ground running with framing a narrative, which is, I gotta say, is pretty viscerally savage and satisfying. They're basically framing it as the prosecutor against the criminal. So, you know, after this talk, if you want to take a look at that video that Adam Mockler has posted, I think you'll appreciate it. And that's all I have to say.
Well, thank you. You know, keep speaking. Um, you know, and folks, we have to, you know, I look back on today, and I'll say this before we go to some other hands. Um, I look back on today, and as an advocate who has advocated for Democrats left and down the ballot for almost a decade, I will say that this is a consequential time. Let's start off with that. This is a consequential time in our history. And Joe Biden stepped up to the plate and nominated the best VP in American history, and it was a woman. And so we have to really be prepared. You know, in the coming weeks ahead, we are ready. We have to believe in ourselves. And we have to make sure that at the end of the day, we are equipped to beat Donald Trump in the ass in November. And with that, I'll be yielding to Mike, followed by Paul. Thank you.
Hey guys, how are you?
We are well. Thank you.
You are well, thank you very much. I just got done with watching or going through my computer, and Mike Johnson comes out. And I'm telling you, it was 5 minutes after she got nominated, and he gets on and says, "Well, we're going to stop you. because we're going to prevent you from calling the presidential candidate before the convention. And he says he's going to take us to court. And I'm like, well, no, Biden has absolute immunity. And everybody seems to forget that whatever Trump had, Biden has. Unfortunately, we're certainly not going to utilize it much like Trump did or is trying to do. But I hate it because the news services all the time, I just got fit to be tied because it was always the same thing. Attack Biden. And when he would try to bring it back to the center, they never let him do it. It's like he never really had a chance to talk. And I just wish for once that these Republicans are scared to death. They're scared to death about what's going on. I said, because if you do it within 5 minutes of this passing, I said, you got serious problems. And it's like, we had said right before he was the attempted assassination about him. Do you realize people are saying that was phony, that he made it up, that it was done? It's a theatric ticket. I'm not, well, I don't know about that, but with Trump, I know everything is possible. Anything is possible. And I just want to say, I've been following it. I get upset because he's not in, but I think the best person we have is Kamala Harris. They said the only other people were 4 other governors, and all of them had negative polls. I mean, way down. She's the one that's very close and could still win. Anyway, that's basically what I've said. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Mike. You are so right. When I do look at polls, I always say about polls, they don't determine who goes in the office. The people do, and I stand by that statement with everything that I hold dear. Paul, welcome back. You and I have been in some spaces together too, even last night in a space, and boy, it was something. So welcome back, Paul.
Daniel, thank you for having me up. I think at a certain point last night, you may have fallen asleep and you missed some doozies. It got worse after we couldn't hear you. But we're not going to talk about that right now. Maybe we could talk about that later. Hello, Madam VP. We just met last night. You're fabulous.
Hey.
Sharky, you're fabulous. Hey, that was something. Okay. So
yeah, you're right. It was something.
Daniel, what time zone are you? Oh, well, no, North Carolina and South Carolina's on the same time zone. You be going to bed early.
Well, and you know what's very funny? Not to cut you off, Paul. It's very funny because yesterday. Well, I don't know what time I even went to bed, but anyway, last night's space was good until a certain individual came and messed it all up. But we'll have that laugh later on tonight.
Yeah, I remember you had your hand up, and then we was arguing with oh boy, and then when we had finally got to you, your hand was still up, and then I was like, oh, he done fell asleep.
Well, I don't know what time was that.
I mean, I don't know. Listen, that obviously we don't. I'm sorry, we didn't want to. I didn't mean to bring this up, but
you're good. I just wanted to.
Okay. Okay, cool. And I won't go into it too deep. All I will say is that the language that was used when you were apparently asleep was so disgusting that I don't see how that person is ever invited into spaces again. Truly, I don't see. I mean, at least anybody that we know in our circle. Never. If you know who he is and you see him in a room, encourage the coast to never let that person up. Period. Full stop. Just never do it. Yeah. It was disgusting. Well, he said things to Ingrid last night that were horrifying. Horrifying.
That's the treat then.
He was talking to Miss Ingrid and being so disrespectful. Was coming the fact that she's an immigrant, asking her she has a OnlyFans, asking all types of
What?
gutter below the belt questions. Then he asks, does she have white D in her mouth?
Oh,
I'm done. I'm done.
Wow.
ugh.
But you know,
No, it was bad.
but you know,
It was
it's
bad.
funny about that, uh, Mr. Reader, is that he was he was obnoxious. I mean, he even wanted to. And you know what's very funny? Um, you know, normally I have my account locked during this time. But since I was hosting a space tonight, um, I've been attacked, folks, by Retrumplicans, by the way. I had death threats ever since I was running for school board. So forgive me if you know there's background noise or whatever. I have very secured I have people securing my home. And so you'll hear some noise every now and then. But anyway, um it's all right. It's all right, Mr. Reader, because what happens is that, you know, anything um but anyway, the long story short, you don't have to worry about him coming back in here. Because I had some choice words for him, you know, yesterday, for those who were in that space. So, Paul, go ahead.
Okay, so back to the issue at hand, which is way more
Yeah.
important to all of us.
Yeah.
Okay, um, I have rewired the synapses of my brain to not jump right to catastrophe. So I was in a space when the news came in about Joe, and I went from shock to sad to galvanized in the space of about 5 minutes. Once I went to sad, I asked myself, okay, what's the reality? The reality is that Joe did this. Joe made this decision. So what's next? What do we turn to? And my next thought was I was immediately energized behind Kamala Harris. And then 2 minutes later, Joe endorsed her. So I would offer that anyone you're seeing who's upset about Joe's choice, wants to burn everything down, is angry, pissed off, whatever, they're actually engaging in a form of voter suppression, and they don't have the best interest of the country at heart. I would not amplify people that are saying those things. I would not bring them up. I would not give them any attention, because they're actually helping the other side. So if anybody is still in the space of healthy anger and fear, what I would encourage you to do is be angry, be upset, but please do not let it defeat you or paralyze you. Joe did not make this decision lightly, and I'm positive they discussed a plan. And now that we have the reality, we have to rally around Kamala Harris. Obviously, we don't know if there is going to be a broker convention. There's already names that I won't put out there because I'm pissed off at them that are already throwing their hat in for a broker convention, and I think that's nonsense. I don't know the legalities, but if it's not Kamala, all I know is if there's a broker convention and it goes to someone else, that leaves the Heritage Foundation open to sue. And if they sue in front of Trump-appointed judges in certain states, that is a disaster scenario. So I personally think a broker convention is nothing but theater. This has to go to Kamala Harris, period, full stop. And I want to be very clear. I am not saying that it needs to go to Kamala Harris because she's a woman. And I'm not saying that it should go to Kamala Harris because she's black. She was my choice in 2020, and she is qualified. And here's why she's qualified.
I was just about to say
that. Okay. She has been vice president of the United States for the last 4 years. We voted her in 2020 just as much as we voted in Joe. She has already won this vote once. She can do it again, provided the Democratic Party gets their ass in gear and does what they seem to blow off in every election cycle, and they focus on Michigan, Wisconsin, Ohio, and Pennsylvania and hit those states hard. The Electoral College will not be an issue. What Joe did today was actually quite savvy and smart, because what he did was right after the Republican National Convention. by making this announcement after the convention, the people who would have had primetime visibility the last 4 days don't have it now. The only two people between now and November that will have that kind of visibility are Donald and JD Vance. The other crazies in the party will not be able to spend 4 days trashing Kamala Harris. Joe's timing, if he was going to do this, was very smart and perfect. What I will encourage everybody in this room to do is call your representatives, tell them that you already voted for Harris on the primary ticket. There should not be a blitz primary. One thing that I will quote, there is a woman that I follow. She has a channel on YouTube called Resistance Live. Her name is Elizabeth C. McLaughlin. She's helped talk me off many ledges with regards to the legalities about Trump's cases. She said this morning, and I'm just going to quote her. Do not say America is not ready for a black woman president. People who hear that will assume you are correct, and that is voter suppression. She also said, we are not going to tell black women to wait their turn. It's their turn. Shut the nonsense down. Kamala Harris is the nominee, okay? She is not a candidate who just tossed her hat in the ring. She's vice president of the United States. She has been observing what the presidency is like for the last 4 years. Joe Biden chose her as a VP because he knew she would be ready to step in immediately if something happened to him. And something has happened to him. He was bullied into stepping aside, and the first thing he did was endorse her. So his opinion has not changed. As far as getting across the threshold for winning in November, we could not ask for a better person to argue the dangers of Project 2025 right now. She referenced Project 2025 in the statement she read earlier today. She is on it. She knows what the main argument is. Her convention speech will be fire. Imagine how we're going to feel after her convention speech if we're feeling this excited today. As far as who she chooses for BP, my only concern with who she chooses is that there's a portion of the electorate that's seriously dumbed down, caught up in celebrity and name recognition. So if they don't recognize the person or know who he is, that could be a little bit of a snag. But back to Kamala. She's already been out there on the stump about abortion, and I would argue she's a better person to make that argument than Joe was. And again, people voted for her 4 years ago just as much as they did Joe, and we won the popular vote, and we will do it again. At the same time, we have to be realistic. The fact that she is a woman and a black South Asian woman is part of the narrative. Not because we're making it part of the narrative. We're not the problem. The opposition is going to use the fact that she is black and a woman against her. It's already out there. I was just in a Zoom with my mother. My mother said, I'm reading that they're already saying Kamala Harris wasn't born here. There it is. It's already happening, right? Okay. That's the kind of tactics that they're going to use. It's about to get ugly, but we have to be prepared for it, right? We have to counteract that. Who better to counteract what we saw this week at the RNC? What we saw at the RNC was people holding up signs that said mass deportations now. Kamala Harris would be one of those people they want to deport, whether she is a United States citizen or not. That's what they want to do, okay? She is the perfect figurehead right now to combat that argument. The news is only a couple hours old. So part of the discussion in order to energize people is how history can be made with this choice. We have to enjoy this moment today because it is about to get ugly. It's unavoidable, right? We have to be prepared. This is a war. Maybe not a war with weapons, but a war of ideas and words, democracy versus fascism. And we're going to win if we do the work in the ways we can. My strength is writing and speaking. So I'm sitting here today more energized than I've been during this entire political cycle, trying to figure out how can I use my voice in better ways. And one of those ways is being in these spaces. I don't know that I'm necessarily a person who can knock on doors and do canvassing. I don't know that that's my strength, but writing and speaking is. And if I can put myself in front of people where I can help them be energized and get them behind Kamala Harris, I will do it. The last thing I will leave you with is in terms of the Blitz primary, which is a dumb idea. What I've heard is that Gavin Newsom and Gretchen Whitmer, who are the top names that have been bandied about, they have already said that they will not engage or they would not participate in a Blitz primary. If that is accurate, that leaves Dean Phillips and Marianne Williamson. And while I know that Kamala would mop the floor with both of them, I don't want to see that. I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to see it. Okay. I understand that they're saying, well, it should be fair. We should vote. Kamala has the war chest. Okay. She has the money. Her name is on the ballot. You take her off the ballot, that leaves the Heritage Foundation open to sue if she's not on the ballot. We cannot take that chance. We all have to rally behind Kamala Harris. I'm sorry for monologuing. I hope everything that I said was valid and helpful, and I will land my plane there.
Thank you. Oh man, I don't know about y'all, but I just heard someone be on fire for democracy and um for what we're about to embarking upon. You
Yeah,
know,
that was really
folks,
awesome. That was great.
Wait, hold on, Daniel. Can I say something after you're done?
you can. Um, you know, folks, I want you to know. I want you to know. And Paul, thank you so much. Let's give some love to Paul, everyone. Thank you so much for setting the tone about democracy and what we're gonna have to do. And he talked about the law and what that looks like. And I'll kind of tell you, I'll kind of tell you a little bit of what that looks like. Because Retrumplicans, you know what, you know, Retrumplicans, when they had the Senate, they broke every law that you could think of in the Constitution to get their judges appointed. Now let's talk about those three judges. The stupid Coney Barrett, of course, we have oh Lord, help me, Holy Ghost. We had
Kavanaugh.
Kavanaugh, thank you. Kavanaugh
Gorsuch.
and Neil Gorsuch. Thank you. So those three got appointed by who? Retrumplicans, right? So let's take it into context. You know, if there's a legality issue behind what Paul is just saying, you know how messed up that's going to be for the whole nation. We will be damned and doomed until 2028 and even longer if they have it their way. And I know that's not what we want. And I want to remind you of some of the values that we hold dear, that we must continue standing up for America's national security. Let me tell you just some of the things that I think Kamala has already done in her 4-year term. She's partnered with Joe Biden on abortion rights. She's partnered with Joe Biden on the world stage. She has partnered with Joe Biden during COVID time. She has partnered with Joe Biden for freedom, for truth, for democracy, for Ukraine, and making it clear again that Ukraine will continue to be supported, that the people of Israel will continue on with their support, and many other different allies across NATO. As you know, NATO was here live in Washington, and Kamala was a part of that also, behind the scenes with Joe Biden. So, folks, we already have an accomplished, I can't even say accomplished, I have to say distinguished. That's the correct terminology that we must use. So, folks, I want you to get fired up. I want you to get fired up and ready to go. Because, folks, we cannot sit up here and allow Retrumplicans, yes, that's their nickname. That is their nickname for me. Retrumplicans. They are not the GOP anymore. We have seen the GOP dead for so long when it comes to bipartisanship. And I want you to know today that yes, we are ready. We are at the ready. We are at the ready to make sure that Kamala Harris wins the nomination. And the chairman, and I'll say this before I go to Mr. Co-host, the chairman of the Democratic National Convention Committee made a powerful statement today. I want you to go back and read it, and I'll post it in the Jumbotron a little later. Is that democracy must and shall be at the forefront during this convention, because already there has been speculation, I'm sure, and the chairman of that committee has already dealt with some of what Paul is talking about. And he has made it clear that they will not be any alternatives to the process. He's already made it clear that there will not be any provisional nothing. Go back and read that. Go back and read it. Because I want you to know, folks, that there's no games. There's no room for games. There's no room for error. There is no room for any BS. So, folks, I want you to know that Kamala Harris is now ready. Everyone across this country needs to wake up and smell the roses. Because the sooner everybody does that, the better off we will be. And Paul, do you want to say something real quick before we move on?
I do. I just have some breaking news. And this is important in the context of what I was talking about with the primary. Gavin Newsom has announced his support for Kamala Harris. So that tells me he will not participate in a Blitz primary. So Dean Phillips and Marianne Williamson can go blow. Goodbye.
I was gonna say that they already endorsed her. First of all, nobody else is fucking with the vice president of the United States. You can kiss all your fantasies goodbye because it's not happening. Okay? I'm telling you, it's not happening. All you fantasy tickets that didn't include the vice president, I'm here to tell you right now, kiss my ass, kiss all of our ass, because now she's at the top of the ticket. She's not going anywhere. The Act Blue account is surging in donations. Her Kamala for Harris for president is surging. The campaign is surging in donations. I was gonna say something. Um, oh, back to the whole VP pick thing. It's not going to be Secretary Pete Buttigieg. It's not gonna be. One, he's gay, and I'm gay myself, but I'm telling you right now, America is not going to just no, it's just not gonna work out. He's not going to be it. All these other white candidates in even they are popular in their states. If I could ask my mom right now who's the governor of Michigan, she would not know. Everybody know who the vice president is, whether they want to admit it or not. So, um, I'd lost what I was gonna say. Um, Everything is moving fast. The endorsements are coming in left and right. The vice president sent out a text message said, "Wait, hold on. Let me see if I can go out and read it without. Can y'all hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay. It says, I'm running to be president of the United States. I am honored to have the president endorsement and my intention is to earn and win this nomination. I'm a read it again. I am honored to have the president endorsement, and my intention is to earn and win this nomination. In the coming days, as I hit the campaign trail to meet with Americans and lay out the choice in front of voters in the fall, I cannot imagine two more starkly different visions for where we want our country to go. We can choose the dark path of Project 2025 with less freedom and more division, or we can choose to put together and do the work for the people. These are not ordinary times, and this will not be an ordinary election, but this is our America, and I need you to help me with and I need you with me in this fight. So I have to ask, will you pitch in your first $20 today to elect me as President of the United States and defeat Donald Trump? Together, I know we can win this election and save democracy. Kamala Harris.
I'm
And
gonna
also,
put that up in the nest. I tweeted it out if anyone wants to
yeah,
look at it.
and also she changed her banner on her Kamala Harris account to what is we can win this. So it's moving fast, y'all. Go get on the yellow bus. Get ready to go. Get ready to play Wheels on the Bus, baby. Cause we going to the DNC convention and we're going to nominate again a female nominee for the president of the United States. But this time we're gonna win.
Can I
Yes,
piggyback?
yes,
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
yes, indeed, we will, and I'll recognize you in a moment. But folks, I want you to know, I want you to know something today. Even as I run for office, for city council, and I would greatly appreciate uh, any donations. I have put that in the jumbotron too, um, not too long ago, so that I could continue fighting for my community here in Raleigh. But I want you to know, folks, that this convention is less than 30 days away, and and I know now more than ever that we can be ready, and you better best to believe the majority of folks in North Carolina, where I currently reside, and in the city of Raleigh, is going to back Harris too, because let's really face it. You talk about, I think, 4 decades or more in government, um, and so I don't know if that's enough for many of us to support her. But I tell you, we cannot have a consequence again like 2016, because 2016 was one of them years that many Democrats, I should say, suffered. Matter of fact, we lost certain branches of government because of it, and yes, some people speculated about having Hillary Clinton for a women president. Maybe people weren't ready for that, but we must be ready this time. We must be ready this time. There is no excuses now. Joe Biden has made it clear to the American people today that this is the time, and the time is now. The time is now. So I know we have some hands, and before I get to those hands, I'm going to close by saying this: is that we must continue to put democracy in the center, and as we do, we need to continue on fighting for what's right. And I know we will do it. I come from a democratic state of New Jersey, and I was born in Brooklyn, New York. And I would tell you, I've had one of the best delegations yet while I was living there, and then moved to North Carolina, which everything went south from there. But anyway, I want you to know that not only we're going to have Kamala Harris, she will continue where we left off. She will continue the progress that has been made on abortion rights, the Voting Rights Act, which we're going to talk about a little later too, because I want to hear some people's thoughts on that, and so many other things that Joe Biden has done. She will never forget who entrusted her with the office, unlike the former president. She has always upheld the Constitution of the United States. And I know if we support her, she will uphold the Constitution once again. So we will now go to our speakers. It is good to have Terrence. Of course, he's from New Jersey. I'm looking forward to hearing him. Um, he also follows me. Good to have you here today. You got to tell us some good facts about New Jersey uh, while you're at it. And we're looking forward to Mike and the other speakers that we have. But before we do that, folks, I want you to know that we have a grand opportunity to turn back the assaults that we have seen across this country. And like Paul said, it was smart timing. It was smart timing because had Joe Biden been still defiant, had he still said he was not going to back down, Republicans would have done their best to eat the party alive. But yet we know. I know we're going to hear from him in the coming days as to why he made that decision. But before we do that, we must be fired up for Kamala, and we must be fired up for the VP that she will now choose, and the cabinet that her and that VP will now have to come and render before the American people. So, folks, we have a challenge. But I want you to know that the challenge, we need to accept the challenge. I don't know about you, but I want you to be able to know today that we must accept the challenge. And only I will say please to accepting that challenge. So we will now go to our speakers. Mr. Speaker Mike, Mr. Speaker Terrence, and many others who have chosen. You all are now recognized in the order it was received. Thank you. Go ahead, Mike.
Turning on. How are you? Let me bring up a couple of things. I'm going to bring up a couple of things. Based on the Heritage Foundation, I don't know if any of you know this, that the writer of the project basically got up and said, this is a war between the right and the left in this country. And he said the left is basically going to lie down and take it. That we will not fight about abortion. We will not fight about being gay. We will not fight that. We'll just let them come and do whatever they want to us, which we know is bullshit. I mean, it just is total bullshit. For Joe, the loan application, the loan for colleges, Joe set that up to the point that if you work a job that is in the intersector of government, like education or anything like this, they would forgive part of your loan after you've gotten through 10 years. Now they're turning around and saying, well, they're not going to honor that anymore. And I said, well, that's lovely because the number of teachers is just going down the tubes and they don't want to do it anymore. Because I said, there are lots of jobs out there. That's the other thing for Biden, lots of jobs. The problem is that those jobs, a lot of them are filled by migrants. So if you turn around and you send all of them back, that doesn't just add to the unemployment. That adds a whole sector of society that's going to be missing. And nobody's going to want to do their jobs. And it's going to becoming, inflation is just going to get to the point because people can't hire anybody. They can't hire enough people to do the jobs that they should be doing. And that's that. He doesn't even think about that. He just thinks he's going to give $80 million over to the oil companies. And he basically is going to make all of us who are old enough to know that they're going to raise the age of retirement to 70 because they can't get the people they want to fill jobs. They're going to make us come back and work the other 5 years. And I said, for some people, that's a death sentence. My mother never made it past 65. And it's like there are lots of people like that out there. And the last thing I just wanted to say, I know someone else said they were gay here. I'm also Jewish and gay. And I said, what he has said about us and what he wants to do to us is just, they want to annihilate us. And I said, they don't want anything to do with us and they'll take away our rights. And if people don't hear that, I mean, if they run around trying to throw people out of Texas because they're migrants, sooner or later, it's going to get to the point where people are just going to start shooting at each other. And I don't want domestic violence in this country, but this is what it's led for. This is where we're going. And I said, if that doesn't scare the hell out of you, I said, I don't know what does. I mean, even got to the point with the abortion issue where women are now going up and getting sterilized because they're too afraid of getting pregnant and don't want it. And it's just like that Jewish left, Soros basically put people from Ohio into a plane and flew them someplace so they could get a proper abortion. And it's just like, thank God for Soros. But anyway, that's me. Thank you guys for holding on for me.
Thank you, Mike. We know already, folks, that we have, the Heritage Foundation. I would tell you, they have tried so hard to do what they feel. But I will tell you this, to avoid all of that, to avoid any other issues down the road, just support Democrats. It's so much easier. I know it may not be easy for others. It may be easy for some compared to others, but just support Democrats because the facts are there and the facts remain. Um, and so I just want you to know that that's just support Democrats. It's so much easier. Terrence.
Hi, Daniel. Hey, Daniel, just a little more bio. I was born in Brooklyn too, in the Sunset Park, or like Bay Ridge, right on the border of those. And, lived out on Long Island, moved to New Jersey. That's where my handle came from, in terms of my account name. But I'm now in Broward County, Florida. So I'm in the blue dot of the red state of Florida. So
Mm.
just so you know, I moved about 2 months ago. I just this Friday, I got my I got my registration. Now that I'm registered now, because unfortunately, just moving 10 miles away, I went from one district to another. Fortunately, this district is also blue, so I'll be out there fighting to make sure that my new the person that's now my congressperson, will indeed be will be indeed reelected, and I'll also be voting for Senate, and also President Kamala Harris, uh, President-elect Kamala Harris, and I don't know, I'm getting feedback. Is somebody with an
Mike,
open mic?
Mike.
Yeah, sorry. Um, yeah, so thank you, everyone. So in Sharky space, I emoted my anger about the process that led to Biden dropping out of the race, and I will not waste anybody's time about saying that again, because I know, Daniel, you were in that space. I want to focus more on what's the path ahead, and Dave and you, and I'm sorry, the madam co-host, uh, who basically, been eloquently speaking about her. I want to echo those remarks. Number one, today is a day to honor Joe Biden for his accomplishments and the fact that he selflessly stepped away and cleared a path for Kamala Harris to become the nominee. I think it's the right choice. I hope, and I see right now a lot of people coming out in the Democratic Party voting, endorsing her. I'm reading, it's almost like it's from The Onion or something, but Joe Manchin trying to re-register as a Democrat so that way he can enter the fray. Nobody wants to see that guy.
He's
You
so
know,
damn dumb. I seen
absolutely.
that.
The
He
man
need to sit
who
the fuck down.
exactly sit down on your yacht and shut up. And that's the thing. Both him and Cinema refused to change the filibuster rules to allow for the John Lewis Voting Rights Act, and any other type of legislation that would have been stopped because of cloture in the Senate when we did have control of the House. This is before 2023. So, I don't know what he's doing. I see, but what I'm hoping is we make a quick announcement, because the media is in a frenzy for 3 weeks going after Biden, and they're going to spend the remainder of this time between now that we're in the end of the RNC convention to the start of our convention, and I'm a registered Democrat, to basically, they want a news story, and they're going to do this mini caucus or mini primary or whatever it is, and that needs to be quashed right away. All Democrats, all elected Democrats need to stand behind Kamala Harris as the nominee, and let's take these 4 weeks or so for her to pick the right VP candidate strategically that could help in some of the states, but also somebody that she feels comfortable working with, and because that's the key as well. I don't want anybody foisting somebody onto her. She's the nominee. Let her make her choice. And that's and I just want all interference to stop, and let's focus on Kamala Harris's ability as a former prosecutor and attorney general and senator when she grilled Bill Barr a couple of times when he was attorney general. I want her to prosecute the case why Donald Trump is unfit to be put back in the White House, an adjudicated rapist, a man who's been convicted 34 times in the state of New York. And if it wasn't for Judge Cannon and the black robes on the Supreme Court, his trials in these cases on January 6th and the documents case down in South Florida where I live would be going on right now. And so we need somebody that can articulate that, like Harris, and also her VP choice. We need to focus on Project 2025 because this is a takeover of the bureaucracy. It would become a banana republic of just Trump loyalists, and it would affect people like me who, as somebody just said, I think it was you, Daniel, would push back Social Security and Medicare to 70, or maybe not at all, maybe remove it entirely. But for the people for the women, they would try their best to make abortion illegal in every state. They would make it even further harder to vote for minorities in states. It is a throwback to the before Democratic times, which, as I've heard from Joy Reid and other black leaders in the Democratic community, this is an
Joy Reid
experiment.
is a flip flopper.
That's true, but when she is speaking correctly, she pointed out that this is a democratic experiment that has gone on for 60 years with the passage of the Civil Rights Act in 64 and the Voting Rights Act in 1965. It finally gave the true meaning of what democracy was in America. And this Supreme Court, with its 6 conservative justices and a Trump administration, or a full trifecta of the House and Senate in Republican hands with Trump as president, would try to do everything they can to do away with all the legislation and all the decisions that have come about, just like they did with Roe, to basically turn back everything to the before post-World War II times, when black people had to guess the number of jelly beans in a jar in order to get on the voter rolls, and everything else that goes along with that. They would slowly go after everything. Brown versus Board of Ed, everything in one way or another. And I was saying that into a space before I came on here, between Sharky's space and yours, Daniel. They're set on removing contraception. They're just going back in time. They're going to go after Loving versus Virginia. They're going to go after the school prayer decision that was made in the early 60s, and then they're going to get to Brown versus Board of Ed, and they'll do it by not funding public education. Doesn't have to be a reversal of the decision, but they will take away funding for education and just have everybody pretend that they can just go on vouchers to these schools that are coming up, and it's gonna be haves and have-nots. And I don't want to go back in time for that, but I know people in this space are fully aware because they live that life every day. I'm fortunate that I was born with white skin, but I'm sympathetic to the people, and that's why I know people like you, Daniel, and Madam, as you're saying, you're fighting because you know what it's like to live in this country every day, and we're trying to. And what better way to promote democracy than to let Kamala Harris be our 47th president? And basically, we need to make sure that we keep this pro democracy coalition that we have intact, defeat Trump, and push back these fascists that are basically taking over the Republican Party. And basically, another 4 years, try to get another chance at getting more Supreme Court justices on the court, so that way we can combat what's going on over these past 2 years with these past 4 years with Dobbs basically taking away affirmative action, giving minorities a chance again to get into the most elite schools, to create opportunities for them, and to continue the good work that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have done in these 3.5, close to 4 years, getting us from the dark days of this pandemic, where everybody was working from home who could, and other people who had no choice but to catch this virus because they had to go to work, because they had no choice but to be on site when they had to work. Improve this economy, the economy that has created more jobs for Black Americans, that has basically been at 4% or less for a sustained period of time that hasn't been seen since I was born. And we need to continue that. And what better way than to let a former prosecutor basically prosecute this case against Donald Trump, and to make these people go batty, because the whole reason this movement started was because they couldn't stomach the first African American president to be elected not once, but twice. And this is the resentment that it caused. And let's get Kamala Harris nominated and let her get on the campaign trail, and let's win this thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Folks, I'm we have to take heed to what was just said. Trump and his evil allies, they have already made it clear that they want nothing to do with democracy. But with that being said, let's have this continued dialogue. I see Matt, I see Stu, and I see several other speakers. And co-hosts, please help and assist with the order, because I can't see everything on my end.
Yeah, it looks like Keiju Beetle was first and then Stu, and it looks like Matt just recently put their hand up. That's the order that I have.
Yes, and so folks, the space, I've been in several different spaces, and one last night, and Paul and Mr. Reader, they were there with me in the Oyive. So it was horrible. It started out wonderful, but then it turned to a bloodbath, and so we will be vetting all of our speakers, um, for the safety and security purposes, because we do not want Retrumplicans to be a part of these spaces, because we know damage that has been done, and I got two witnesses and then a scar.
Oh, wait, I don't mean to interrupt you. So I've kicked out at least 3 MAGAs and 2 unknown bots since I've been in the room. But if you guys want to have a back channeling Daniel and Madam, so if there's something I don't know that you know because I was in a space last night, please let me know. But I've kicked out at least 3 and then two bots, as you know, I had told Daniel. So I don't know who you're particularly talking about, but the only people I can vouch for that I see the hands up are Stu and Matt. If that makes any sense. I don't. Does that make sense?
It does, and
Yeah.
and
And Kaju was in this space with, we don't spoke with Kaju a few times. He's okay.
yeah. So I just want people to know that my co-host will be vetting all of our speakers, because I've been attacked already, and I do not need that to continue. Um, Retrumplicans have attacked me while I ran for school board, so I've been in politics for a minute. The politics of today is horrible, folks, and that's why we need Kamala Harris to go in the White House and kick ass like we know that she will. So, with that being said, we will continue um, with our speakers, and the first speaker is who? Sharky.
So, like I said, it was Kaju, Stew, and then Matt. And if there's anything someone's telling me that I don't know, like let me know. But that was the order. Kaju, Stew, and Matt.
Is that right,
If,
Mr. Reader? I think that's right.
yeah, Madam. I
Wait,
call
what was the order?
you. That
You
was the
say?
order.
What order did you say?
It was Kaju, Beetle, Stew, and then Matt. The
Okay,
only
yeah,
people that I can vouch for is Stu and Matt. I don't know if that makes sense, but
yeah.
technically Beetle and Stu and then Matt were. But I'll leave it
Okay,
to you guys. And do you want me to call you Madam or fact is fact?
yeah. You can call me Facts.
Okay, facts. That's perfect. Facts. Are we aligned, you and Daniel and me, with Beetle, Stu, and Matt? If not, you know.
He's. I don't really, because he didn't really speak last night in the space, so I don't. He's like he's voting. I think he's a Democrat, but he's.
Are you? Are
I
you?
don't know. Just go ahead. Just go ahead,
I'm,
Kaju, and
are you?
keep it
Are you?
cute.
Are you? Who are you referring?
I'm talking to Kaju. Don't
Oh,
come on here
I,
with them
I,
talking points.
it's up to you guys.
No, I won't.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right, go ahead.
yeah, uh-huh, because
I know. I'll. Hey, I'll take. I'll take. Okay. I'll take. He's okay. I know. I know. I'm not everybody's flavor. I know. I lean a little bit more left. For some folks, and it is what it is. Also, yeah, I think Fax is a way better. That's way more slick than saying the whole name. Anyways. Oh, geez, where was I going to start? Everyone said some. Well, let me just start off of just saying like I'm so excited this happened. I'm really I'm really happy that we got the switch over. I think this is going to like revitalize a lot of younger folks who weren't going to show up to vote. Um, like my mom called me. She's like, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm worried. She was tearing up, and had to calm her down and be like, no, this is good. Like I th- I was I this is going to be a slam dunk. That's what it comes down to. I think this is going to be a real slam dunk with this candidate on top of the ticket. Um, I was on this, every, folks who have seen my name, like I've always been uh, whatever about Biden, but like Kamala top of ticket, this is where it's at. I think she has a really good chance of winning. Like I said, it's a slam dunk. And it's gonna whatever about those folks that are always on the fence, right? Our undecided voters, our uh, moderate right folks who weren't sure who they're gonna vote for. That's fine. The the numbers that way outweigh those folks are the younger Black and brown folks who we're gonna stay home. Like we have a real opportunity to get them out to vote, which I'm really really excited about. um, and I think Paul, I don't know if they're still on here. I think they mentioned it. I was like, this is good timing. Like oh, fingers crossed that they were gonna do this announcement and they were really gonna dig their heels in and like get this out now. Like this is such a good time to do this right after the RNC. Like this is good momentum. No one's gonna be talking about that boring ass RNC. Um, and I don't think anyone's gonna be talking about Biden really. I think that's gonna be small potatoes for the next few weeks and months, which is good, right? We won't be talking about that. We'll be focusing on Kamala, their record, and then I hope they get on top of it this week. This is one of the things I've always been like confused on why they haven't done this, of just like what the future plans are. Stop talking about the past, which is
the stuff that has been passed in the last few years is good and great, but like the future, this is what's going to get folks excited. I hope they work on the website, put in an agenda for the next 4 years, what Kamala's new administration will look like. And I'm really excited about that. I am so excited about this. Like oh, I'm in. So I've been. I'll tell y'all. I don't know if there's any other organizers on here. Oh, I've been in just like it's been bad. Like my brain has not been good, and it's been nice. Like this news really perked me up. Like I needed this little jolt of energy to
So you,
do the work.
so what was your feelings when you heard the news? You wasn't sad
Oh
at all.
no, I was excited. I was driving back from the groceries, and I heard the news 20 minutes late, which is which is kind of good for me because I've been trying to like stay off my phone today, and then I threw that out the window with all the news that's been going on, and like I got really excited. My buddy actually, who was just at work and doesn't really, you know, pay attention to this unless I talk to him, like he told me the news. I'm like, oh shit, let me get on Twitter, let me get on NPR. Oh, okay, it's real, it's not fake. And I got excited. I'm like, oh, we're gonna win this. Like this is an
So
easy dub.
you don't feel sad for the president that the media bullied him.
I mean, I don't even think it's, well, yeah, I guess it was bullying, but like
Vito,
but
come on.
like but like I it's like he'll be fine. I really like he's a grown man. Like he made the decision. I'm glad he made the decision. Um I think someone really close to him like had a really good deep sit down. I'm sure we'll find out in some book or some interview of who like sat down with them, because that's the
No,
only way
he
he
was
was going to make
having
the
a
decision on his own.
conversation. He was having a conversation with his family, and it showed that the first lady was with whatever decision he
Mhm.
wanted to make. But to anybody who doesn't feel sympathy for the president, with all these media and these pundits and all these other bullshit ass people that's been running their mouth against him, kiss my ass, because you cannot tell me that the way that they treated the this president compared to Donald Trump as the reason why the media is so onto Donald Trump is because they want a fucking television show and a
Mhm.
president that's always in front of the cameras to play to their audience. And with Donald Trump came, it was something every day with him in his administration. That's why they are they talk about him 24/7. The president and the vice president is a behind the scenes administration. We don't be all out in front of the cameras, and that's why people are mad and why people say that they don't see the president and the vice president. I know damn well you have social media. If you're expecting to see them on the news every damn day, well, you're a lie, because all they talk about is Trump 24/7. And you can follow
Yeah,
the White
that
House, you can follow the president and the vice president. So all those little lame excuses about, oh, we don't know what they do, and it's absolutely BS. And I'm tired of it. And I really feel bad for the president. His convention speech, I know he's probably going to speak at the convention, and it's going to be emotional. He's going to give his support for the vice president again. Um, and yeah, I really feel sorry for him. And this fuck ass media need their license revoked because they don't talk about no damn news. All they talk about is a convicted felon every damn day. And ever since the debate, they've been in their feelings that the president was sick. And that's not an excuse. He was sick and he has a stutter. And on top of that, CNN, Dana Bash, and Jake Tapper dumbasses did not fact check him for lying. I don't know where they got the whole "that's not their job" part, but that's a damn lie. He is a pathological liar. Why would you not? Oh, you know what? I know why. Because a Trump backed um supporter base, whatever you want to call it, backs CNN, backs MSNBC, back backs Fox News. So whenever somebody tries to say that MSNBC and CNN is left, no, you dummy. It's right. CNN is another Fox 2.0. The only difference is that they tell more truths than lie. Well, that was the case before the debate. But now they are Fox 2.0. MSNBC doesn't talk about nothing but the polls, and they've been asking ever since the debate, drop out, drop out, drop out, drop out. You got what you want. Now I'm just letting y'all know right now that the queen herself, Kamala Davy Harris, is not going any motherfucking where. If you think you are going to attack the vice president like you did the president, I'm telling you now, you better be ready to pack your fucking news license up because we're on your necks. We don't watch you. You don't talk news. And I'm tired of this bullshit ass talking.
Can I piggyback off of that?
You
I
can
think.
do some.
Oh, sorry. So like that's why this news is like good. Of just like it we can change the subject. Like I think that's like the news outlets will have no other choice but to just like talk about Kamala's VP. And that's why I think this is good. And like I get your frustration. Like that it's very valid. But the next few days, though, in a few weeks, we have to be careful not to keep bringing it up. Like not keeping it up, bringing those up, because then it distracts from the momentum that we can get from this. And that's a small thing, whatever. But just two more things, and then I'll wrap up. Of just like this is really important
I don't know.
of Harris.
They are run by a Russian oligarch, CNN. So it is important. They're
Yeah.
by a Russian oligarch, and MSNBC was, I believe, just recently owned by another Republican. So it is important what they were just saying. And when we're talking about news, I just had to say that because it was burning a hole through my tongue. Like they're run by a Russian oligarch. Just it's 100%. You can fact check this 13 different ways till Sunday. That's why we saw CNN take a conservative point of view. Thank you.
Um, and so like this is why I think it's really like again, I'm happy. I'm so happy that Kamala is up. And she's gonna run.
You better
The
have your
second,
ass out there door. You better have your ass out there door knocking. You are
oh
excited. You
yeah,
better be go out there
like
and
I
door
told you,
knock.
I mentioned on top of this, like I'm an organizer. Like this is my job. Like it's my job to elect these people. Um, I and on my free time, I do the text banking and the phone banking. I'm in a rural area, so there's not a lot of door knocking over here. But I do what I can virtually. But to my point, this is really important. Because this was brought up by I don't think Paul's here anymore, or maybe oh yeah.
He is.
Like we have to be not we have to be careful, but just keep an eye out because like I already saw this from some of my volunteers and it's really fucking annoying. These older white folks,
Being
these
racist.
volunteers who are like they were saying a
Being
lot of
racist.
stupid. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they were saying a lot, and these are like progressive volunteers, right? Or quote unquote. And they were saying a lot of stupid shit of just like, oh, is the country ready for a black woman? Black woman is the country ready for another black president? And then it's just like, yeah, we need to stop that. Like when if there's any organizers here, I'm sure you're gonna end up hearing it as the days and weeks go on. But like, we need to stop that like right away. Like when you hear folks say that you have to just be like, tell them like, hey, no, it's 2024.
I
Like
was just
we're
about
not
to
doing
say
that.
this is 2024, not 2008. This is a whole different ball
Yeah.
game to the
So when you
people who
hear
were
it,
Sorry,
combat it.
who's speaking right now? Who is speaking right now? Because I want to make sure I follow them.
This is Kaiju Beetle, son of a boy dad.
Okay, gotcha.
Like you have to like, and we're gonna hear a lot of it. Like it's you just gotta knock it down when you hear it. don't get upset, right? Because we still want to get these people to go vote, whatever. But like
Upset about
when you
what?
hear it, when we hear it from our volunteers, when we hear it when we're door knocking, just tell them like,
We already know they
no,
better be racist.
this is a different era. We don't do that anymore, right? We're not going to talk like that because if once we start talking like that, once our people start talking like that, we've lost. Like
Wait, talk
it's
like what?
26.
I'm confused.
No, it's talk like we can't have another black president. Once we start talking like that,
Yeah.
like we're screwed. Like it's 2016 again, and like we've
Mhm.
what are we even doing? You know, like this is just a waste of time if people are talking like that. So stop it in your tracks. Keep an ear out for it. If you have the patience for it, talk to those folks, educate them, do all that good stuff. If you don't have the patience for it, don't get mad. Just take a breather, walk away, have another person talk to them, right? But just I want folks to keep an eye out for that because it's bullshit, right? Everyone here in the space knows it's bullshit. And yeah, hopefully y'all think I'm a little bit more than okay next time. Hopefully I can win you over, Pax. I know our politics where we lean is a little bit different, but yeah.
Yeah.
All right, that's it.
I don't interrupt it. You feel like you definitely lean against me too. Is it okay, Daniel and Fax, that we can kind of move on to some other hands because I know people have been waiting for a minute.
Yes,
Um,
yes. And before we do, though, folks, we have had, I've just gotten word from our delegation in North Carolina, and they have fully endorsed um, Kamala Harris for the nomination, and so I'm very excited about that. And as many know, I'm running for city council in Raleigh. And so I put a donation link in the Jumbotron if anyone would like to donate. That all of the donations and all the proceeds will go to make sure that the people in Raleigh are heard and the people across our great country as I continue to fight and make sure that not only our city is better, but making sure we have different things for the people of Raleigh. So, with that being said, we are going to be moving on, and my campaign folks they're working on an official statement now for my endorsing of her in the coming days. So with that, we're going to go to who Sharky.
it was you, Matt, Dana, and Bogart.
Okay, cool. Hello, Daniel and co-host Sharky and Madam VP Impact. Thanks for letting me speak and thanks for letting me be part of your space. Daniel, congratulations on running for Raleigh City Council, and I wish you the best. And I hope you win. And also great that you're a delegate to the Democratic Convention. If I heard you right, that is really awesome. Just quick background on me. I've voted Democratic most of my life. I voted for President Barack Obama both times. This last year or so, I did vote for Nikki Haley in the Republican primary. I'm mainly a moderate, but I am a never Trumper. So since we knew that Donald Trump would be the Republican nominee, I always planned to vote for President Joe Biden because I'm a never Trumper. I think he's probably crazy. We all know the issues he has mentally and emotionally. So now I am 100% behind Vice President Kamala Harris. And just to go back to something that you were saying, Kaiju Beetle, don't know if he's still on, but yeah, I mean, I think Vice President Harris has a really, really good chance, not just because she's up against Trump, but also because of precedent. Again, President Obama was elected not once, but twice for a total of 8 years. And of course, as was mentioned by Kaiju Beetle, I think in the 2016 election, Hillary Clinton did lose, but She got 227 electoral votes compared to 304 for Trump. So, I mean, she wasn't that far behind. So, I feel very good about Kamala Harris. I will be voting for her. Hopefully, she'll be the nominee. About the idea of an open nominating process, I don't think that's a good idea. I don't agree with that. A couple quick news headlines, if you haven't seen or heard about them. Politico said a short time ago that the governor of California, I live in California, Governor Gavin Newsom has endorsed Kamala Harris for president. Some had thought that Newsom might try to become the Democratic presidential nominee if Biden dropped out, but that appears to be not the case. And also, Politico says since Biden made his announcement today, Act Blue, the major Democratic fundraising platform, which includes presidential fundraising as well as down ballot candidates and groups aligned with the Democratic Party, Act Blue has raised over $27.5 million, and that's just from today. Closing. One or two people in the space have heard me say before that I first really took notice of Vice President Harris in 2017 when she won her Senate seat in California and gave her victory speech, and I was really impressed by her then. And again, after President Biden had his debate, afterwards, she went on CNN to make remarks about it. I don't know if you saw her, but I thought she was very strong and focused. They had some technical difficulties, I think, in that interview, but she really impressed me again. So I don't know if I'm willing to answer any questions you may have about me or my past or my thinking, but I feel really good about Harris. Like one or two of you have mentioned, I too have felt a little depressed, weary with the events of the last week or more, with the indecision about President Biden and the Democratic ticket, and also with the Republican convention on. Did I mention? Maybe I didn't. Yeah, shortly after the Republican convention started, and I covered it all week because I am in radio news, so I covered it for the news. But it affected me so much that I changed my voter registration back to Democratic, if I didn't say that. And I'm happy to answer any questions about that, but I'll leave it there. Thank you.
Yes, and thank you. We need to continue on with the hands. Who else was next?
There's Matt, and actually, I believe Eric, then Dana, then Bogart. I'm sorry, I didn't see Eric down there just because there was a group of hands all at the top and I didn't see that at the beginning. So it was Matt, and then Eric, then Dana, then Bogart.
Yeah, so thank you, Madam Co-host. I would like to say to Stu, thank you uh, for coming up to speak, and I know we're gonna have a demand of raised hands throughout the night. Um, and so, in order to, some people may have to go back to listener, just so you know, so that we could continue having the conversation. So thank you. You know, thank you, Stu, for that. So before we go to Matt, folks, we have been talking about uh, the Democrat Party moving forward. And as you can see, the Democrat Party is moving forward. The endorsements, the support for the Madam Vice President, I do have high confidence that she will win the nomination. Um, we don't need no secret ballots, no secret primaries. We don't need no secret BS to determine who comes next in line. Um, I know we have a short time, and people I've heard from so many today. They're like, oh, we gotta have this, and we gotta have that, and we gotta have this. But one thing I will say to those who have doubts, get over it. Get over your doubts. because we know that something great is about to happen, and people are afraid. People are afraid. That's why they doubt, folks. People are afraid of the progress. Oh man, people are afraid of the progress that is going to be made, and in order for them to be comforted in their own skin, they doubt. But I want you to know today, for those who have doubts, oh, get the hell on, get over your doubts, because democracy is going to be at the helm at the end of the day. So Matt, you are now recognized, followed by Eric. Welcome back, Eric. You know, you have been in a space with me and many others last night. I'm looking forward to your comments as well. Um, so Matt, you may be recognized. Thanks.
Well, thank you, and Daniel, congratulations on this campaign. I wanted to give you a little advice, if it's all right, because I actually ran for city council where I'm from, and so although you do, I mean, the city I lived in was a large suburb. You live in a city of almost 500,000 people, and your city is the state capital of North Carolina, so you have different dynamics at play. But I ran for city council twice, and I had a website, and I had all these issues on my website, but you know what I learned? This is the best advice. You may not need this advice, but I'll give it anyway. The one thing I learned is you have to find that one issue, that one thing that everybody cares about, and you probably already know it. But you find that one thing. When I ran for city council, this was about 10 years ago. The issue that came up was something called the Equal Rights Ordinance, and everybody was up in arms about it because they added it. So the Equal Rights Ordinance, where I was from, was to uh, stop discrimination based on, in public places, work, and housing. And they got all up in arms because they added LGBTQ people to it. And so that was the one issue. I know, right? That was the one issue they got all upset. And some people were pro for it, and some people were anti for that. And so my advice to you and to anybody who's running for local, especially at the council level, because I know what that's like. I've knocked doors. I've gotten strange questions. Is to find that one issue in your district. In I guess it's Area C, or District C is what you're running for. Find that one issue that everybody cares about, and be able to articulate it in less than 30 seconds. And that's how you win. And I know you. I was looking up. You're in a race. Looks like against four other people. If I read that correctly. So, by the way, in your race, do you have to get over 50%, or is it just whoever gets the most votes? Are you there, Daniel? Hello, hello. Oh,
Well, to answer your question, by state law, North Carolina, Republicans in North Carolina make laws that are unfair and unjust. Let's start with that. Um, but you do have to, at least to my knowledge, and I'll have to seek my legal counsel on this, but it is most likely 30% or greater of the vote. And don't quote me on that exactly.
okay.
Uh,
All right, I won't.
and and legal counsel, they'll advise me more on that, because school board is a little different. When I ran, the laws were different for that race.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll have to get back to you on that. But outside of that, normally it depends on what the laws are, and I'm pretty sure that it's 30% or higher that
Okay.
you will need to be declared the winner. It is a big long process now, and they've redrawn maps so much so in North Carolina where it's not even funny. It's stupid and idiotic the way they drew maps. So don't hold me to those numbers, but I will be advised on what to say about that going forward. Thanks.
Yeah, in a 5-person race, obviously that makes a big difference. In Texas, you have to, at least for city council, I had to, whoever got over 50% was the winner. If nobody got over 50%, then they went to a runoff. So anyway, I respect what you're doing. I know it's hard to go out there, whether it's making phone calls, especially asking for money. That was the thing I was most afraid of. But knocking on doors, I know that is a tall order, and I hope you have a lot of good people out there helping you. But back on just real quickly on the topic, President Biden. I said this in another space, and I wanted to repeat it. I was disappointed to get the email or to see the message hours ago today, but I wasn't totally surprised. Um, it's one thing to be able to run on your record. It's another thing to be able to articulate that record. And unfortunately, for I love Joe. I was riding with Biden all the way until this afternoon, but unfortunately, he wasn't able to articulate the message. He wasn't able to tell the story of the success of his administration up until now.
I know why. I know why. I know why. The fucking media.
Okay, but that's only part of it. Yeah, and yes, and they are complicit in that the
That's a
news
big part
media.
of it.
Well,
That's a
but
big part of it. And also, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, but that's a big part of it. And also the fact that people are willfully ignorant to stay up to date on politics, that's not an excuse anymore. If you're going to complain about something, especially the president and the vice president, then I'm going to need you to make sure that you stay up to date on the shit that they're doing.
but you know most people aren't. That's the average voter,
And I
unfortunately, is
just said
not.
that's not an excuse anymore. That especially when they're complaining about shit that they don't know nothing about. Like they don't know how the economy work. They don't know how domestic policy work. They don't know how foreign policy work. And that shows with the watermelon crew and their fake outrage at the president when they really need to take it up with Congress. But that's a whole nother issue, a whole nother topic for a different day.
All right. Well, I used to work in sales, Ms. Fax, Madam VP. I used to work in sales, and what I learned was facts tell, stories sell. We got to be able to tell the story about what this administration has done to help, students with crushing student loan debt, to improve our infrastructure, things like bridges, outdated old bridges that have been rebuilt, telling the story about how the good economy in general has created more small businesses than ever before.
I mean, hello, we do have a cabinet on the road every day saying
I know, but
that
the
same stuff.
story, for whatever reason, the story wasn't getting out there, and so a lot of candidates who are down ballot, unfortunately, some of them probably panicked because whether like it or not, candidates like to win. They're a little selfish, right? People, I mean, just like Daniel, he wants to be. He's not running so much because he enjoys running. He wants to win, and so those down ballot candidates saw the polls, saw that the message, whatever for whatever reason, whether it's the media or whatever, wasn't resonating. The story wasn't getting out, and so now with with Vice President with Harris with Kamala Harris, now we have a top storyteller at the top of the ticket, somebody who can. You know what I would if I was them? I would say the first line I would use when she goes out for a rally is say, "I am ready to prosecute the case against Donald Trump." I would use that line first thing. We are going to prosecute his fraud, prosecute the phony, the lies that he's been telling the American people all this time. We need to. She is now geared to prosecute the case against the ultimate con, and so that's anyway. I just wanted to make that point that we in this room know what President Biden and Pete Buttigieg and what's been happening in the cabinet, but that's not sexy unless you can tell the story. And so since like I mentioned earlier, I'll just say
Well,
this.
we can't help that lies sell faster than the truth. I mean, people need to take that up with themselves and get educated, because the blankness, uneducatedness, and the fact that people don't want to look up shit for themselves and go off of what other people
Yeah.
um say is absolutely crazy.
And here's how I would do it. I would say, okay, I would go to, I would go to, here, I'll use North Carolina as an example because I did it earlier. Um, I would tell people who live along those beach communities in the Outer Banks of North Carolina, this administration cares about climate change. You know why? Because in 20, 30, 40 years, your beaches could be gone. You, I mean, we need to make it specific to each community. Now, here's the good news. We, this, before President Biden stepped aside, he had already been building an army of field offices in all the swing states. So now it's just a matter of how they're going to tell that story to each community. And if we do that, and it's very simple, the same way Daniel Grant King's going to win is you identify who your core groups are, you give them that message, and then come voting time, you make sure they vote. It's very simple. And so, bottom line is facts tell, but stories sell. And real quickly on the media, we need to get back to, it reminds me of one of my favorite movies. Some of you older folks may remember this movie. It was called Wag the Dog. Great movie. Talks about how the people that were working for that administration were able to, in a way, it stars Robert De Niro, were able to manipulate the story so that it worked in their favor. It's called Wag the Dog. It's a great movie. It was very satirical about how they manipulated the media. Maybe I'm not saying we need to do that. I'm just saying we need to do a better job of getting the media to getting the news to tell our story. And by the way, I watch PBS NewsHour. I
Th-
love PBS. Sorry.
Go ahead, finish.
No, I was just
Then I'm
saying.
gonna respond.
Tell the story so that our story gets told rather than the lies and the chaos we constantly hear from orange face.
Yes. Thank you, Matt, for that. We are now moving on, folks. Um, Before we go any further, I just, folks, I've been scrolling through, um, Twitter. I don't call it X, by the way. It's just, ugh. But I've been scrolling through Twitter and I've seen the overwhelming majority of the nation is in favor of none other than the Honorable Kamala Harris for the presidency of the United States. And as many know, the whole delegation of North Carolina and the Democratic Party has endorsed Kamala Harris for office. And of course, yours truly um, has already made up his mind about endorsing Kamala Harris going forward with a statement that will be released hopefully by tomorrow on behalf of the campaign. But for now, we're going to go to Eric, then it'll be Bogart Blue, and then it'll be Green in that order. So Eric, welcome to the space. It is good to have you back. You and I have been in a space last night, actually, um, and I loved what you had to say. So now you got the floor.
Thank you. A couple months ago, Noah, Rita was there, and the debate that we were having was why I didn't support Joe Biden. And as you guys can see today, that viewpoint have changed 100% after having a civil discussion with Rita and with Noah. And soon after that, I was invited to a Biden Harris rally here in Detroit, Michigan. And I said it last night, and I said it this morning in another stage, and I'll say it here again. The chant that started off with when Biden walked out was "Don't you quit." And when I tell you that the whole room literally were in unity when that was being said, it just warmed my heart up. You guys have to understand that Joe Biden should still be in this race right now. Regardless of if we like Kamala Harris, regardless if we wanted any other candidate, we need to be 100%. It should have been Joe Biden being sworn in for another term after this election. It should have been. He have given his life to public servant in politics, the youngest senator working for us, the American people. It should have been our duty to allow him to be the public service that he have been doing, and he's have been one of the most accomplished president in our lifetime. But Reader said it, and I'll say it again as well. It's not just the media, but the media have played a big, big role in this. But the media and donors have been a reason why Joe Biden had to get out this race. And as I speak now, there are Democratic donors who are trying to push away Kamala Harris and say that they want Joe Manchin, or they're talking to Joe Manchin about being a candidate and wanting to, and be at the open convention or having an open convention. Democratic donors. The whole goal was to not just push Biden out, but they want to push Kamala out too. But we have to be ready and make sure that Kamala Harris is here to stay. Because I don't know why, but these bullies, these people who come in and try to run the narrative need to stay out of what these public servants are trying to do. Joe Biden had an awesome rally in Detroit. And when I came home and turned on CNN and turned on MSNBC, they weren't talking about that energetic crowd in Detroit. They were talking about Donald J. Trump. So the attention that was given to President Biden and to the former president, Donald Trump, was something. Someone said that Biden's story did not resonate with voters. It most certainly did. But when it was being resonated with voter and he relied on the media to further get it out there, they weren't talking about it. They were talking about Trump for 5 days straight, talking about assassination attempt, talking about this, that, and the third. Even before that, he said, "Oh, Trump is going to have one of the greatest RNC convention speech. He's going to unite the party. He's going to, really win it for his base and his party." And we go turn on the team, and he's rambling for hours about who knows what. The media and donors are the reason why we are in this situation. But we have to remember that the power is in the voters' hand. The real power comes from us. Too much blood, too much lives have been taken for us to use our power to vote. And our vote is precious. And not the media and not the donor should be trying to take that away from you and try to spread misinformation or change the narrative to where you can't even make a decision yourself on who you are supporting in the election. So I'm really sad and disappointed to see Joe Biden go. My mom said today was a sad day. She said, "While I may be glad Kamala Harris is becoming the nominee, I'm still sad that Joe Biden left." And I am too, because all the support we see for Kamala Harris now, we have to understand in a couple months or a couple weeks from now, you're going to start seeing hatred, bigots. You're going to start seeing some people true colors. It's the same thing that happened to Obama. You're going to have those racists out there. You're going to have some of those sexist people out there who are going to try to say things about Kamala Harris and try to make the point on why she isn't qualified to be president. You see, all those people who call for Biden to step aside, I don't see a whole lot of them coming to endorse Kamala Harris to be president of the United States. Now, they were the one who said that they wanted a new generation of leader. Now they're finally getting that, and you're not seeing all of those congressmen and congresswomen who told Biden to step aside immediately endorsing Kamala Harris. You now got people calling for an open convention who says, as much as we love Kamala Harris, I just think that an open convention needs to take place. I think that I cannot endorse Kamala Harris yet until we come out of an open convention. That's BS to me, guys. It really is. Because it's some underlying issue under there that is the reason why they're not immediately backing and endorsing Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris have already gained major endorsement from progressives to unions, to the Congressional Black Caucus, to the Congressional Hispanic Caucus. So it should be no reason why the entire Democratic Party should not be taking this time and this moment to unite behind Kamala
Eric, let me
Harris.
say,
I'm hearing.
hold on, Eric, let me say
Go
something right
ahead.
quick. By Wednesday, the vice president will have enough delegates to be the nominee of the Democratic Party. For all you naysayers out there, you're not fucking with her.
Period.
And
Period.
Louisiana
Because
just gave their delegates. Louisiana, South Carolina, North Carolina, and two other
Tennessee
states.
was
Yeah,
one.
Tennessee,
Tennessee.
and I think one more. But yeah, we're moving fast. We're not playing no games. We're getting the delegates. We're doing the work. They are on the phone right now doing the work. We have raised $35 million since the announcement. You can bet by in the morning it would be $50 million, and we're going to be doing the work to get the vice president over the finish line and become the president of the United States.
Period. And to end what I have to say, guys, I just want us to just change our focus. It's okay to be excited right now, but we have to be ready. We have to win this. We already know the things that are going to be coming after Kamala Harris because we have frankly seen it in any other African American candidate. We have seen it in people of color candidates. We have seen what they do against a woman candidate. And we know who the opponent is. And you know that being a racist, white supremacist, sexist, womanizer that he is. And you know he ain't going to hold back. So we need to be ready to fight for Kamala Harris. We did our part to try to fight for Joe Biden, but unlimitedly, he made the decision that he had to step aside because of what was happening in the current climate. We ain't gonna let them do what they did to Joe to Kamala Harris. We gotta support her. We gotta stand by her. We gotta be all in. We gotta make sure that we know what is at stake in this election. Ain't nothing has changed about what is at stake at this election. The only thing is you have now a new nominee in some cases who may be stronger in a lot of areas that Trump isn't. And one case that she can make is that she's a prosecutor and he's a convicted felon. And in fact, if you guys did not know, Trump donated $5,000 to Kamala Harris' Attorney General campaign and invested in her campaign when she was running for Attorney General. I can't wait to see how that comes back at him in the debate that is going to happen between her and between Trump. He's scared. I just know it. So I want us all to be all in for democracy, all in for women's rights, all in for a better future, all in to make sure that the power in the voter hands and not the donors and the media. We got to be all in. We got to make sure that we are worried about Project 2024 so we don't have to worry about Project 2025. That's where I ended. Thank you.
By the way, the check he just referenced is in the purple pill if you want the evidence. Receipts are in the purple pill.
Yes, and thank you, Eric. Um, before we move on, folks, I want you to know. I want you to know that this nation has already stepped up to the plate. And like Paul said earlier, and like Eric said now, this is good timing. And the media does have a part to play in this. But I want us to know that certain Democrats had a bigger role to play in this as well. Because let's not forget, we had almost 40 something Democratic senators and Congress folks who urged Biden to step aside. And even when the times, even when there's uncertainty, even when there's this chaos and dismantle, I want us to know, folks, that across this country, we will have the first woman president of the United States. I want us to know today that, like my pastor said on Saturday as I went to church, he said, get over it. And that's what I want to remind us today. For those who have doubts, for those who have concerns, I want us to know to get over it, because the American people have spoken. The delegates in my state have spoken. The delegates in South Carolina, they have spoken. And the delegation in Tennessee and across this country, they have spoken already. And they said enough is enough. And we're going to move forward despite the hatred, despite the bigotry, despite it all. We're still going to move on. So I want us folks to know that the fight is not over. We still have a work we must do. And above all, we must go to the ballot box in November. We must go to the ballot box and make it clear again that yes, now is the time for us to have a woman president of the United States. And so, folks, before we continue on with our raised hands, I thank you, Paul, and many other speakers who have came up and shared. But I want us to know that the buck stops with us. It doesn't stop with Retrumplicans, because Retrumplicans, as far as I'm concerned, and yes, that's their new nickname, Retrumplicans, because they have always bowed to the knee with that jerk. They have always done so. And I would like to thank Noah for being here. He's a big ally for democracy, and I tell you, I'm looking forward to his remarks shortly. But I want us to know, folks, today that Kamala Harris is at the ready. I cannot emphasize enough the things that she's done over the course of her decades in the political. We must continue on the good fight of faith. And how we do that is like everyone said this evening, going in our communities, going to our churches and schools and etc., and making sure that people know that Democrats are doing the thing. So with that, I yield back, and now we'll go to Bogart Blue, followed by Green, and then we'll have Noah. Go ahead, Bogart Blue.
Okay, yeah, I'm trying to get my thoughts together still. Sharky knows me pretty well, and I'm a little upset at the moment. Uh, Certainly, that kaiju fellow did not help. Um, he's been in Sharky's room before. He's always been dead set against Biden. He's never really liked him, so his comments were very angering to me. And no disrespect to you whatsoever, Daniel. None. I think you're a great guy, and I absolutely hope you get elected. But telling people to get over their doubts is the last thing you want to do to Biden voters right now who are seriously pissed off. I just don't think that's the right approach. There's just
Bogart,
so many
are you
Biden.
fucking serious?
Wait. Who are you talking about?
Hold up,
Are
what?
you talking about me?
No. I'm saying I was Daniel said it was, to just get over your doubts. And I don't think that's a good way to.
Daniel, you said that? What are you referring to? What specific comment are you referring to? Because I think he was responding to somebody else.
Yeah. Well, I just heard that, so I'm not really sure what he was.
Yeah. Bogart, listen, please, because we've been arguing a lot lately in our spaces. So, like, come on, man.
No, I thought that was legit, but okay. All right,
Well,
I
well,
was
well,
wrong.
let me clarify. Let me clarify for everyone what I'm trying to say here, and and thank you to the co-host for stepping in. But I want to make something clear today. I was not saying to get over your feelings. I was not saying that. But what I am saying is that people have already decided that the next person shouldn't be none other than Kamala Harris. And I'm not saying to get over your feelings and doubts, but what I am going to say to us is the negativity ends The negativity has to end. That is what I say to you folks. That is what I say. Because the last thing I need for people to do is misconstrue what I say. And I don't appreciate that in the slightest. And folks, we gotta understand that this is not a game. This is not a game. The negativity has to end. We got the media for that right now. We got them to thank, partially to thank, for him for Biden leaving. We got the media to thank for that, partially. And then we got the 30 something and those Democrats who didn't want him to remain, and now we got someone who is willing to step up. They still ain't done nothing. But the last thing I'm going to hear is for me to say, oh, just bluntly say to get over things. No. What we need to get over is the negativity. And that is what I say. So Bogart Blue, please don't do that ever. Ever, ever, ever do that. We may
Say
have
it again.
disagreements today, but 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 I am now the chair of this room, along with two others who are co-hosting, and we will not allow people or anybody to misconstrue what I say. That's the last thing I need, and that will not be tolerated. And so we need to remember, folks, that democracy is important, and I continue every day to fight for that. And yes, I will be supporting Kamala Harris. And for those who don't like me for that, get over it. Because the reality is, when we go to that convention, for those of us who are going as volunteers and delegates and candidates, we will, by the grace of God, be supporting Kamala Harris. We know there's doubts and concerns. I'm not a dummy, but one thing I do know is that Kamala Harris will be the nominee along with the running mate for the presidency of the United States. And so I don't want to hear ever again people say, oh, you said this or you said that. The answer will be no. And I will be cutting everybody off. And I hate I had to do that, but I had to, because we will not sit up here and now play games just because we want political rally points. We have had enough of that for the Retrumpicans. That's their job. And the media is to thank for, pushing Biden out on a ledge, because that's what the media did. And so thank you, Bogart Blue, but no thank you, because we need to be moving on. And we got some other hands too. But I had to address that, folks. I had to address that. And I'm sorry if I was harsh, but I will not be sorry for standing up to for democracy, and I will not be sorry for people that are trying to attack me and the reputation that I work hard to uphold. Especially where I live in the South. I will not tolerate that. So thank you, but no thank you. So we got some more hands. And Green, you may go ahead, and then I'll introduce our special guest. I see his hand raised, but I want to introduce him first. But go ahead, Green.
Thank you, Daniel. I just want to touch on some things that were said. The gentleman who was here earlier who said facts tell, stories sell, I think his name was Mark. I just want to echo that. That is so, I cannot tell you how true that is. There is not a parent in this world that sits down and tells their child a good night fact. They tell them a story. It's how our brains work. And Sharky, your rooms the last couple of nights, weeks, when you've done what has Biden done for you, those were so effective because people were telling their stories, right? And we connect on stories. We don't connect on facts. And so the I think Mark again. I I'm just going to pretend that his name is Mark. I thought that that's what it was. He's gone now, but he talked about, Biden wasn't he wasn't telling his story. The Biden campaign was not telling the story, and this is not a new thing. This is not Biden. This is Democrats are not the best at messaging. A messaging expert that I heard years ago, like in 2018, um, they have a tendency, if you wanted um if you want to hear about uh David, they'll tell you the story of Goliath, right? Whatever like they don't know how to hone in. And I want to give you an example, and I'm going to put this in the space, and it's a map. And I want you to, I don't know if you'll see it in the Jumbotron, but I did put it in the purple pill. And it says, what has Joe Biden done? And if you can see it, this is a map that you can go in and put your zip code in, or your city and state, and you can see what was done for you locally. Except it's a screenshot of a map because there's no damn website that goes directly to the map. And the website loads too slowly. You have to scroll down to find it. Now, if I sent it to Sharky, she would take the time to look at it because she's interested in this and she's a Biden supporter, right? But if I'm sending it to my neighbor who isn't, they're going to be like, I don't know what you're talking about, because you have to scroll to find it. It should load fast. It should be easy to use. And the reason I'm bringing this up, it has nothing to do with Biden. It has to do with Kamala Harris. Eric, you talked about being at the Michigan rally, and I will never not be jealous of that. That sounds like an incredible experience. I don't know if you're in here. So yeah, you're still here. I agree. I'm 100% angry that Biden is leaving. And I agree, the vile attacks on Kamala Harris, they aren't going to start. They've already started. And that's why we have to learn to tell her story effectively. We have to be able to do that. It has to be factual, positive, succinct. We have to be happy warriors. Succinct means we have to focus, right? We have to focus in and tell the story. Like, try to do it in like a tweet length, not a 280 but 140. How can you tell that story
There's
quickly?
there's a new list out now of the vice presidential accomplishments.
Yeah.
It's like
Correct, but it's
89 on
telling
there.
the story, right? It's
Yeah,
connecting that story back. It isn't just listing that off. I'm saying it's based on the facts, right? But it has to be telling the story.
well, the
And
vice president do that every time,
but
so
it's
we ain't
not,
gotta worry about that.
no, we do, because we're the ones telling the story here. She's not responding to everybody. It's up to us to respond to people in tweets, to be the happy warriors, to bat down misinformation, to bat down racist attacks, to be able to tell that story. And I was thinking about, Madam VP, you and Noah a couple weeks ago, there was a space and somebody was saying something about, I'm not going to talk about who it was, but there was some anti-Kamala stuff, and the two of you you knew the information about her. You were like on it. I was so impressed. I haven't forgotten about that. Like, you knew it in a heartbeat, and you had all of the information. And what I was wondering is, like, I am a huge champion of Kamala Harris, and I know things about her, but I don't have that kind of information that the two of you have.
Miss
And I'm
Green,
wondering,
do I have
wait,
your
wait,
permission to add you to an official Kamala Harris group chat that I,
sure,
among the Biden
sure,
Harris
sure,
campaign managers in? I'm
sure.
gonna get you connected so you can have the fact sheets.
Okay. I have some of that stuff, but that isn't the point. The point is to be, this is what I think. This is, and I'm asking you guys to do something. So you obviously, it's just me suggesting it based on what I saw that night. I'm wondering if Madam VP and Noah would hold a space and let people ask questions about her record, and not as a debate, This is not the point. It's not a debate. It's to help us learn, right? And to be able to ask questions in a safer space, kind of thing, in quotes. And if you want to make it private, invite only, whatever it is, so other people don't hear. But I just think it would be a really great opportunity for us to learn, right? And be able to tell her story quickly, to be able to be those happy warriors, to be able to bat down uh in lies and vile attacks on her in a positive way. The other thing I want to say is most of the people in here are familiar faces. And what I believe, even when I don't agree with what somebody says, I have enough experience with the people that I recognize in here that I believe they're coming from a genuine space, a genuineness in their heart. It doesn't mean that I necessarily agree with them. And so I think the last couple of weeks, but especially today, emotions are really high and people are very fraught. And I just hope that we can give each other a little bit of grace and understand that we're all on the same team. We are on the same we're on the same side, and we got to do this together. And I am done. Thank you, Daniel and Sharky.
Yes, and thank you. We're going to go to one more speaker before I introduce not a guest. He's not really a guest, but to me he is. He's no stranger to the people's space. But we'll go to Candace, and then I'll introduce um, our speaker for the evening. Thank you.
Okay. How everybody doing today so far? Despite all the craziness that's been going on today, but I hope everybody's, doing okay. Everybody's doing well. Cause I was just in a space maybe like a couple of hours ago, and I'm pretty much gonna say the same thing. I'm gonna say now. I mean, like I said, Joe Biden dropping out. I mean, I was a little bit disappointed, but he had to do what he had to do. So now with all of this is happening, now we can finally get somebody. Cause like I said, I've been on my Instagram. I've been on Instagram. I haven't been on X that much, but I have been on Instagram today. And I mean the energy that I've been seeing for Kamala Harris, it's been like rampant right now. It's like mostly everybody wants that woman to be the nomination. Me, I live in North Carolina, and I just follow the North Carolina Democrats. They just now endorse her to say, "Yo, we want Kamala Harris on that ticket." They just now endorse that woman. So I say this: I say Kamala Harris, she can do the job. Cause Joe Biden even said, he said the reason why I picked her as my VP is that if anything happens to me, she's gonna step up and she's gonna do the job. Not to mention, cause like I said, she had like a pretty good friendship with his son Bo, so Bo knows her pretty good. So they're practically like they're practically like family. Cause Bo got a good relationship with her. So but I also say this. But right now, since Kamala Harris they pretty much just pushing her, the attacks. Cause like I said Kamala Harris, she's pretty much gonna have to jump through burning hoops to get the nomination. Let alone let alone the campaign trail. Cause I can guarantee you. Cause I already saw it on Hollywood Unlocked on my Instagram. The vice president of the Uncle Ruckus Association, Candace Owens, is going off at her stupid mouth again, saying that Kamala Harris slept her way to the top. No doubt about it. They're gonna talk about her affair with Willie Harris, all that stuff. I said it, they're gonna drag that woman. They're gonna drag that woman through every single which way. It's already happened. Cause like I said, Candace Owens just said that woman slept her way to the top. I said, okay, Trump paid hush money to a damn porn star. What's your point? Your point being, the hell you talking about? So but I also say that to say this. Cause like I said, everybody keep saying a black woman cannot be the president. Guess what? You said the same BS about Barack Obama. He did it. He did it twice. So now we need a black woman to be the president. Like I said, anybody is better than Trump. Cause I keep telling people, as of right now, we are on the verge of this country's on the verge of being Nazi Germany 2.0 right now. And if Trump and the whole Republican Party gets in office, that's exactly what's going to happen. And like I said, I saw a whole lot of people keep on saying, "Oh, we gotta free Palestine and all this other stuff." I said, "Yo, don't get me wrong. I don't like the Gaza situation, just like damn near everybody else in the world is. I don't like it. Damn near everybody else don't like it. But right now, this is our house. We got to clean it up. We got to get our shit together before we go ahead and take care of somebody else's house. We got to get our shit together first. Because, like I said, when Obama came in office, a whole lot, like I said, they never thought in a million years a highly educated black man will ever run this country. Now, imagine being a highly educated black female running this country. Oh, please, don't motherfuckers will rather jump off the Golden Gate Bridge before they see a woman run this damn country, let alone a black woman at that. But I'm just gonna say that to say this: they already get ready to attack her. Cause like I said, she's gonna have to go through. She's gonna jump through hoops, jump over like shark-filled oceans and all that other stuff to get the nomination, let alone the campaign trail. Cause like I said, I don't know who a VP mate is gonna be. I mean, I seen Young Turks, they just throwing out Gretchen from the governor of Detroit, which I think that would be an okay
Michigan.
pick. Yeah, Michigan, yeah. She'll be a good pick. I mean, hell, I keep on saying her and Mayor Pete will be a damn good choice. Cause I know Mayor Pete will body slam JD Vance in the debates. I know that to be true. I mean, hell, her and Bernie Sanders. I mean, I wouldn't mind Bernie Sanders being on the ticket with her too. I mean, even though
Oh no, hell
but
no, hell
No,
no,
I
hell
mean,
no.
no.
he may be old, but his mind is like
Socialist.
he's more sharp in the
No,
mind than
no,
Biden
no,
is.
no,
But
no.
I mean, I get your point. I get your point. I get it. I get it. I get your point, you guys. But be that, I mean, like I said, I mean, I heard somebody say, what is it? The governor of who? Tennessee, Kentucky. The governor the governor of
Kentucky.
Kentucky, yeah, the governor of Kentucky, him or her will make a good pick. So, I mean, at this point, man, it's like Scott.
They need to wait for her. I'm waiting for her announcement because all these fantasy tickets and all these random ass people, I I'ma just wait till she say who her running mate is, and it's gonna be the best pick that ever could be.
Yeah, I feel you on that one. I mean, anybody will be a good pick, but like I said, we're on the verge of being Nazi Germany 2.0 right now, man. It's like I say this. I put this on a comment on my Instagram. It's either you get down for Kamala Harris or whoever VP may is, or you gonna lay down for Trump and Project 2025. That's just the way it is right now. So it's either you get down with Harris or you gonna lay down for Trump in 2025. And that's all I'm gonna have to say about that.
Yes, and thank you, Candace, for that. Um, folks, I've just received um, a message that's very disturbing, and I tell you, folks, when people will try to ruin your reputation any way they can, won't they? And it's sad that they will do it. Um, and I will say for those who missed, for those who missed the last set of speakers, one of them basically made fun of what I was trying to say earlier and misconstrued. But anyway, um, I want people to know today that enough is enough, and we will not be tolerating that in here. long as I'm chairing. Um, and we have three hands. Um, After those three hands, I will be recognizing um, our special guest. And after our special guest has finished, then we will take more speakers, because I definitely want to hear from him. Um, and so after these three more, until the special guest has finished. So we will now go to Greenleaf and then Noah, and then we'll go to Tweety, and after that we'll have our special guest. Thank you. Green. So Green, go ahead.
I think she just have her hand up because she spoke and raised her hand back up.
Okay, so now we'll go to Noah. Thank you, Eric.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Good to hear from you guys.
Go ahead,
How you
Noah.
doing, Mr. Daniel? How are you? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Can anyone
I
hear
Hi,
can
him?
hear
Eric,
him.
I
okay.
can.
Good stuff. Hi, everyone. How are you? It's great to be here.
Maybe it's just
Great to
me.
be.
Noah,
Okay.
Noah, drop down right quick and come back up.
Yeah, because I can't hear him, and I really do want to hear him.
I could hear him too.
Yeah, my stage been glitching lately, so it ain't just you.
Mine too.
Okay, can you hear me now? Alrighty.
Yes,
Hey, everyone. Good to be here. How are you, Daniel?
I'm awesome.
Great, great
Thank
to
you.
hear. Thank you. Yeah, initially when I first woke up, what my mom will do is she'll say if she wants to wake me up if I'm late to wake up or if I have something to do, she'll say Noah, Joe Biden dropped out, and I'll wake up instantly. I'll go crazy. I say what happened? She'll be like I'm just playing. I'm just playing. Wake up now. But today it wasn't a joke. It was real today. And initially I was sad, and then I saw he endorsed Kamala Harris. I couldn't tell you how optimistic I am for Kamala Harris to take office, gain more Senate seats, gain more House seats, and pass the Democratic legislation that we've been waiting to get for decades. Kamala Harris is going to make no excuse as to how to get legislation passed whatsoever. She's going to make a great president. And let me also say that Kamala Harris has not the Republican Party has nothing to attack her on whatsoever. What, she laughs a lot and she cares a lot about the environment. That's literally all they can say. So I'm extremely excited. Now I want everyone in the space. This is a packed space. We have some great people in here. Shout out to my friend Brian. I'm so happy he's in here because I'm gonna be honest. I don't see him in space as much, so it's great to see him today here tonight. It's good to see you, Brian. I know you're busy, so thanks for making time. I need everyone in this space who considers himself a Democrat. Everyone in here, go to the jumbotron. I'll put it back up because a few people added stuff since I put it. I'll make it the number one thing up there, if that's okay with my friend Daniel. Contribute to the Harris Victory Fund. We so far, and this I'm gonna announce it for everyone in here. So far, $46.7 million has been raised by the Harris campaign, and that is astonishing. So let's make it 50 million by tonight, by midnight. Contribute $5. It's the first link in the jumbotron. Show your receipt in the purple pill, and let's get this done. Thank you to everyone
Act,
on here. Thank you to my
Noah,
friend. Yep.
Noah. Actually, by nine, as of 9:30, it had reached like 51 mil.
Well, let's do 100 million before midnight, y'all. Let's do it.
Yes, yes.
Yes. So let's do it. $5 to the Harris Victory Fund. Put your receipt in the purple pill. Even if it's $1, $2, or $3, it helps them more than you think. So thank you to my friend Daniel, who's running the office. Let's get him to 500 followers tonight. Tonight. Let's do it for Auntie, y'all. Have a great night. I'll be in here listening.
Yes, thank you, Noah. We have. I tell you, folks. Despite the negativity, which sucks, we still have some positive
Oh yeah, and I
outcomes.
forgot to mention. Sorry, Daniel. Ariana Grande has endorsed her earlier today. Huge endorsement, and I don't know I don't know this person, but Charlie XCX endorsed her. I don't know her. Somebody explain what Brad is. I don't know what that is. But thank you, everyone here tonight. Contribute to that link, and I'll pass it on to Daniel. I'm sorry for that. And like in the wise words of my friend Brian down there, politics tonight is now pop culture. Let's do it. Have a good night.
Thank you, Noah, for being here. Let's give him some love, everyone. We appreciate the democracy. You know, I've co-hosted for him many times, and he's co-hosted for me. You know, and I'm looking forward to hosting more spaces come August regarding my campaign priorities. So please come on in and join in with that as I run for office, and hopefully win in November, so that I could deliver for the people of Raleigh. Tweety, you're now recognized, and then we'll go on to our special guests. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel, for having me on. At first, earlier, when I first heard about it, I was a bit sad. But then when I saw all the massive endorsements coming in for Kamala, uh, that was.
Tweety, are you there?
Can you hear me?
I can hear her, but you
Okay.
know, I can hear.
Okay. When I saw the endorsements that she was getting, I thought that was amazing. And then all the people that the media try to say, well, this person can run or that person can run. They try to put Gavin Newsom, Mark Kelly, Gretchen Whitmore, and they all immediately jumped in and supported Kamala. Even Adam Schiff with his shady ass, he endorsed her. Um, I think that a message is being sent to the elites right now, the elite Democrats. No contested convention. This is Kamala's. This is her party now, and we have to rally behind her. When you have Nikki Haley's super PAC immediately jump into to Harris, that's huge. For the younger people, the I guess the Taylor Swift fans, apparently the Swifties has endorsed her. So we're just waiting for the Beehive to put in their endorsement. But when you have, the Swifties, she got a lot of people with her. So that's a lot of votes too. I mean, it might not seem like a whole lot, but it's a big deal. But I'm excited about it. I think we're seeing a new energy. I think we're seeing the base more energized than we were energized for Biden, and I'm brokenhearted that he had to go. But I respect his decision. He will always be the GOAT. He's the one that put Kamala Harris where she is right now. So he's owed a lot of props. But I think she's gonna have a powerful backing, and I've never seen anything like this. I mean, I just went from being sad, and now I'm just fired up and ready to go. So I'm optimistic about what's going to happen in the next couple of weeks. I think she's going to be receiving a lot more endorsements before it's over. I'm here in California.
Hold on, Dan.
So,
That he can't hear you.
oh, okay. Well, let me go ahead and get off. So for
If
those who
you
heard me, thanks for
drop
listening.
down and you come back up, it should fix the problem. If you just drop down really quickly and then come back up, he should be able to hear you. There's a lot of space issues with the tech, but he just DM'd that he couldn't hear you. And then just come right back up, and hopefully that fixes the problem.
I'm so sorry, everyone. Twitter has been icky today. I don't know if I'm the only one facing this issue. But I had to leave and return. So now I can. Yes.
Okay. So yeah, just briefly, what I was saying was that I'm excited about her campaign, and I think that with all the record number endorsements that she's getting as quickly as she's getting them, and with her raising over $50 million, I think she's going to probably reach between 70 and 80 before the day is over. And I'm in California, so in the Bay Area. She was from the Bay Area, so we're extremely proud. And I I hope that she picks a viable candidate to be her VP. Me personally, I'm hoping that she picks Josh Shapiro from Pennsylvania. He's extremely popular. That's a state that we're looking to win, and he can definitely help her in that department as far as her getting some delegates there. So, and I'm wondering when the Divine Nine is going to start. Maybe, I don't know, sometime this week. Maybe they'll put in their endorsement for her. So I can't wait to see that. But I'm energized. So it went from being sad to now I'm more pumped up than I ever was before. So just everybody stay encouraged. Don't let any naysayers or anybody bring us down. We're going to have people like that that's just not happy about what happened. I can understand that, but we have to push it forward. We got a race to win. Project 2025 is not going anywhere. The Dobbs decision is still going to be a problem. So Kamala has the wind at her back, and so does the Democrats if they act right. And I'm going to land it there. Thanks.
Thank you. And folks, before we move any further, I would like to thank my good friend for being here. I'm looking forward to his remarks. Um, he has made a great big deal um, about democracy and what that looks like um, as a whole. And so, for those who don't know him, I'm going to do a brief introduction. Um, and of course, he, is currently in California, born and raised in the Southern Bay Area, and has that commitment for local community. Robert, of course, he grew up in National City and graduated from Southern Western College. And he has a family. He has a passion for public service. Um, he has served in various capacities, from commissioner um, to volunteering with the YMCA board and board chair for Community Through Hope, and just so many other organizations. But he is currently serving on the as a board of trustees member for the Southern Western College, where he proudly serves in that office up until I believe is in 2026, if I remember that correctly. And he has worked in journalism. He's advocated in city council meetings, school board meetings, and many other avenues to make sure that people's voices are indeed heard. And today he proudly works at a nonprofit that helps businesses and consumers thrive in the marketplace. In addition to his responsibilities and routine, he also um, was elected to the College Board of Southern Western in 2022, and he is devoted to serving his community. And his priorities always has been for democracy. And in his current role as Board of Trustee, he is also prioritized affordable student housing, fighting for physical responsibility, retaining the best and brightest educators, which I am also a proud educator myself, so that means a lot, and always making sure that everyone has equal opportunity. Folks, I have the greatest pleasure of having back in the people's space none other than the Honorable Robert Marino. Thank you so much.
Wow, thank you, Daniel. Thank you, everybody here. Appreciate hosting this space. Appreciate you, Daniel. And sorry that you guys were bored with my bio there. Um, just wanted to make a few points. I'm not going to go along here. I know there's other speakers, but Donald Trump is shaking in his boots right now. He is shaking, and you know why? Because we're going to have a felon against a prosecutor going up head head to head, right? And Kamala Harris, this is her playing field. This is what she's used to. She's used to locking up felons. So Donald Trump, he's shaking because this is her playing field, and she's really and she knows how to play this game. So Trump, while he may get a slap on the wrist by the judiciary system, or sorry, by the criminal justice system, he's gonna get his ass kicked at the ballot box where it matters the most. But anyway, going back to the whole Joe Biden news, I just gotta say that I woke up like many of us this morning. I got the news alert on my phone, and I was a little bit, not a little bit, a lot. I was sad. I was disappointed, but not so much for Joe at first. I was disappointed that our Democratic Party did this to him, that he was forcing out. We know President Biden didn't want to go, but he was, forced out, and that was the unfortunate part. And I was sad. I was grieving, but now I feel a lot better. I feel tremendously better, and the reason why is because people that I'm talking to in my circles, even here on Twitter, everybody's getting around VP Harris, right? Actually, I call her the MVP for Madam Vice President, and that's what we should call her, right? The MVP. Um, that's my nickname for her. But anyway, everybody's getting around, rallying around her, and that's great. And ultimately, what it comes down to is, and I've said this before in a space, is that we are it's coming down to policy, right? Our values and our democracy. No matter who they put in there, no matter who they put in, it should be Kamala, right? But no matter who they put in there, because we're gonna vote for pro-choice. We're gonna vote for pro-LGBT issues. We're gonna vote for pro-immigration. We're gonna vote for everything that the Trump administration is against. And Kamala Harris is that person. Everything that Trump is against, that's who Kamala Harris is. But anyway, let's make our voices heard, make our voices loud. And they say history repeats itself. Well, let's repeat it again by putting another black person in office. That's what I want to say. Let's repeat it, and show Trump what a prosecutor looks like, and show Trump what a black job looks like, and that's a president of the United States. And that ends my talking points. Thank you.
Wow. Oh, wow. Yeah. As I sat back, I don't know about y'all, but wasn't that good? Wasn't that a good speech? Because I'm telling you, I've looked back this morning. I woke up this morning, folks. I had my devotional and I prayed and I woke up a little late today. I decided to sleep in, and um, lo and behold, I saw the news on Twitter, and I said, "There's got to be a space tonight." In that regard. So thank you, Robert, for those strong remarks. Um, and I'm looking forward to us beating the jackass at the ballot box, because folks, I want us to know today that democracy is going to be at the helm. And Robert, you're right. He's scared now. Retrumplicans are scared of what is going to happen next. They are scared so much so that they are willing to admit that they are going to turn back the clock on so many issues. But I want us to know today, folks, that they can never, ever be trusted to hold any public office again. And far as I'm concerned, he has gotten away with so much. And people wonder, people ask me all the time, you're running for office and this, that, and the other. And how do you feel about Trump getting away? And I want to answer those questions tonight too. And I say that Retrumplicans, they may have think they've won the battle, but at the end of the day, they do not win the war. They thought that doing their idiocy at the RNC was going to help them win the battle and the war. But I want us to know today that the battle is going to the ballot box. The battle is making sure that Kamala Harris is secured for the nomination. The battle is making sure that voters know what is about to take place, the good that has been coming out of her and Joe Biden and many others in that administration. And I want you to know something else too, is that we must carry on despite what negativity comes our way. And we're going to have to do that with making sure that democracy, above all, is at the front and center. So, folks, I got to tell you, yes, it was upsetting today to hear that Biden is not running for reelection. But like Paul said earlier, oh, it was perfect timing because now Republicans, they cannot say nothing else. They cannot say nothing else. And I will 100% guarantee you, that Republicans will do everything they to distract the American people. But I want you to know that the American people are not distracted. We are pressing on. And even in my home state of North Carolina, we had a big emergency meeting for delegation. And I want you to know that almost every delegation that I can think of right now has supported Kamala Harris and will continue to do so into the DNC convention. So, folks, I want you to know that we're going to win. We're going to win. Whose mic is that?
And yeah, I just want to say one last thing too is that
Okay,
here's
Robert.
yeah, we just one last thing. If you are still undecided and who to vote for, let me just put it like this: after Trump went through his the how can I say this nicely? I'll just say it to the point. After he had the chance, well, after he went through the alleged assassination on his life, President Biden called him and wished him whatever he wished him well, wished him good luck or whatever the hell that conversation was like. Donald Trump, in his only opportunity to be presidential, to wish good luck to President Biden, what does he do? He slams him, calls him the worst president in history. And to me, that compare those two. Did you want someone that was classy, or did you want someone that is willing to slam anyone at any given time, right? So I don't know. That's just my opinion.
I agree. Um, you know, I don't know about you all, but Twitter has been acting odd today. I could even barely hear, and I feel so disappointed in not being able to hear some of our great speakers. Um, it has been it has been very awkward for me with Twitter Spaces today. So if I wasn't able to hear you, I'm sorry. Because even one of my co-hosts is now gone. I see. So it's a lot of tech issues today. Um, with Spaces. Uh, Joey, welcome back, buddy. I'm looking forward to hear what you got to say too on this topic. Um, folks, and just like Robert said, we got to kick ass at the ballot box. Those were some strong words, Robert. Oh my goodness. I appreciate that. Bro. Everybody appreciates that. Um, we have to do it. It is what the people demand. The people demand somebody that's going to stand right by them. We cannot stand up and allow folks to, have fascist behavior like we have seen Republicans do. And I don't know about y'all, but I did not watch not 1 ounce of the RNC convention. Not 1 ounce. Because the funny part about it is, for me, I don't watch the RNC conventions. I never did. Um and I grew up in a very democratic household, so there was no need for that anyway to begin with. Um so Joey, welcome back. I don't know if you would like to say something too. I know Twitter Spaces has been a little glitchy today. But we're still moving on in our conversation. So So, Joey, you're now recognized if you would like to speak. Thanks.
Yep. Hi, Daniel. It's been a while. Hello, everybody. Um, well, first, I want to say that as regarding to what I like to call the non-debate night, and since then, I was convinced that the call Joe made today was the right one, but I would have supported him if he continued and was the nominee on election day. That was never in doubt. And I will be supporting Kamala going forward. I still remember how lovely she was at barbecuing Republicans during her Senate committee days back in 2016, 2015. And I also, on a day like today, take stock in the life of a great public servant, and that Joe Biden has had 50 years of outstanding public service. He proved it today by making this very hard decision for the betterment of our country. We know for anyone, it's not an easy decision, to make when to call it a day, especially politicians. So I think he deserves extra credit for that. And now we double down, triple down our efforts to get Kamala and whoever she chooses elected. And even here in New Jersey, I'm thinking of volunteering for either my town or the state in some way, because there's been talk even New Jersey might not be on sure ground anymore. I'm sure as hell not going to let that happen and go to the other side. Uh, and I know that must ring nicely true with you, Daniel, being my fellow New Jersey buddy. And yeah, Biden, and I know he must be feeling it today because, unlike a piece of filth on the other side, he actually is a person with a heart and a moral center who's capable of empathy, who has suffered and overcome in his life direct family loss, and is able to reach people that way. And that was one of his gifts in running for the presidency in 2020. So I take stock in that, like I took stock in my late father for all the work he did as a labor studies professor. And, I'm thankful for his service and for his decision. And I'm looking forward to seeing how Kamala puts together her team and how we hopefully get the polls bouncing in her favor and have a build up for a strong turnout on election day.
Yes, I'm telling you, from New Jersey buddy to New Jersey buddy, that was, that I couldn't say it no better. Um, folks, how can I say it best? Um, we have, Joe Biden has done a lot for our nation. And, today was a sad day um, for my advocacy committee because we have fully supported a Biden Harris ticket along with several other Democratic leaders in our state. And, we will continue um, advocating um, for democracy and all the other stuff. And folks, Kamala is not gonna sit and idle. Like the old saying, um, idle mind is the devil's workshop. Um, and I believe that wholeheartedly. So, we got a great nominee. Um, and so with that, I'll yield to the co-host for any additional comments. But thank you, Joey, for coming on as one of our speakers And thank you, Paul, too, um, for speaking today, too.
Um, today will go down as a day of history in the books. Um, when I said it was going to be a wild ride to November, this is like way beyond what I expected. Um, it's it's truly a time to be alive in the year of 2024. Um, the amount of support as of right now that the vice president is getting is something that we always knew that she was popular. Fox News is going absolutely batshit crazy because they have nothing on her other than her laugh. Um, they hate the way she speaks, racism, sexism, all their BS that they always do to women of color. And they're also going after the fact that she doesn't like plastic straws. Well, Fox, this is what you guys wanted. So now you're going to have to deal with your decision and all of this talk about dementia and old. You might as well go ahead. RIP to the whole dementia talk, unless you're going to say that your guy has dementia. Because I know you're not going to say the vice president has dementia. Only one candidate is old now, and that's the convicted felon. So what are you going to do? Tell your candidate to drop out. And Nikki Haley said back in January or February that whatever party dumps the old guy first is the party that's going to win. So, I mean, I don't like Namrata, but hello, wake up, folks. This is a moment in history. We have to organize. There's a Black women Zoom call going on. They have over like 20,000 people in there. They crashed Zoom. It's so much going on. The campaign, stay focused. It's gonna be so much information coming out in the next week. It's Sunday, so by next Sunday, it's gonna be a lot that has happened. The vice president is pouring in money on top of money, endorsements. Um, oh dang, I forgot the name of the women's group, but they are women's what is it? Something list the damn I forgot. But they're doing an additional $20 million to boost the vice president. So this is just really a amazing time, a sad time. Emotions have been all over the place over the past month. Um, we have 107 days to November. Get out to vote. Keep organizing. Keep the faith. Do not let these maggots get to you. Turn off the damn news. Stop turning it on, please. My mental. Well, the media never made me mentally depressed, but the day I turned it off and I didn't miss it at all. It's just propaganda, misinformation. They talk about one topic all day, every day. Um, and yeah, so make sure you're donating to Kamala for president, Harris for president. Um, get people to vote. This is definitely an energizing moment. Um, for Democrats, after all the BS that we have been going through, even though we're still going to be going through it, but this is a happy day for us. And yes.
Thank you so much, Mr. Reader, for that. It is, I would have never thought in this generation that we would have to go through um, such political discord like we are seeing now. But sometimes, you know, I'll never forget it because Akeem Jeffries, he quoted one of my favorite Bible texts. He said, and I quote, "Do not be weary in doing good, but remembering that in the end, that God will do in accordance to His will." I just summarized what he said, but I want us to know, folks, that democracy, this is a part of democracy, and unfortunately, the news media for the next couple of days, um, they will try this to their best to to really deter from the reality, right? And I'm sure Kamala is going to go through some of the same malarkey that Joe Biden had to face. But I want us to be encouraged and not discouraged today. And of course, we have another speaker, um, Councilman Brian E. Hawkins. Um, you know, and I look forward to what he has to say. But before we do, um, today is a high day for our country and nation because the whole world got to see on full display that Joe Biden continues to put his needs aside over the American people. And there's no doubt, um, even people closest to him, you know, said, this is your call. And of course he answers the call of the country every time. And so he will be truly missed, but we will be moving forward. And that's the good news above all. So Councilmember Hawkins, welcome to the People's Space, and you're now recognized.
Absolutely. Good evening. Good evening. I wish Robert Moreno was in here because he's right in the city down, or the county down from me. Because I grew up in Chula Vista, and so I just sent him a message and I was asking him if he was related to the Marinos out of the Chula Vista area, which were known. I went to high school with, and so we were just talking in the back channel. I also went to Southwest College for a little bit before I went to San Diego State and a few other places, but I was excited to hear about what he was doing. I was really involved in the flood that they just had down in San Diego. And it's funny because he's from Chula Vista, and then I lived some years in North Carolina. As a matter of fact, my lineage is tied to North Carolina. I own land, is this plantation where my father is buried at right now is in Henderson, North Carolina. And I was trying to go through my photos because I have this iconic photo right before I went to go speak to the House of Representatives in North Carolina. I want to say in 2021. I went to go speak to the entire House of Representatives while I was out there, because at that time I was a registered Republican, and that's why I'm really excited about today, because this is one of the various reasons why I left the Republican Party at the end of 2022 election. I ran for Congress. I'm elected locally, but I ran for U.S. Congress. And just by listening to a lot of the rhetoric, listening to the Heritage Foundation, which is really sad that people aren't really pushing the Project 2025 in its entirety and the seriousness of it. And to say that Trump doesn't know anything about it, the people who are responsible behind it, 70 members of his transitional team, were former employees of the Heritage Foundation. So it's really sad to say that he doesn't know anything about it. But I do say this, right? The last 24 hours has been interesting. I think they're up to almost $50 million in fundraising, which shows a lot. The money shows the strength of a candidate. Your ability to raise money, $50 million is nothing to sneeze at in just 10 hours. And so that's a really good number. Then also the infusion of getting the millennials, getting minorities involved, because there had been kind of like this sluggish kind of feel Although I understand how people feel about Joe Biden, President Biden, dropping out of the race, there had to been an infusion of excitement, especially the way the media has been covering the RNC. You got Hulk Hogan, which is the craziest thing because he was just, on video using the N word, and to have him be the opening person at a RNC, and then you even have Amber Rose, who's going on to say that Jesus is a cult. So to have people that say that they're Christian, but then you give the platform to somebody that don't even believe in the God that they claim, which is sad. So it just shows the hypocrisy there. But I do say this, right? It's one of those things where you got to really get your emotions out of the moment. Enjoy the moment, but tomorrow there's real work to be done. Because the 2020 elections, you have to. So sometimes you have to just look at the brutal, or you got to be brutally honest. There's a book I read a couple of years ago called Good to Great, and in that book, General Scottsdale was a prisoner during the Vietnam War in the Hanoi Hilton prison, and I want to say he was a prisoner for like 8 years, and they asked him like, how did you survive in prison for 8 years? And he said, I had to accept the brutal reality. The brutal truth is what he called it. And the brutal truth was the American didn't know where he was being held captive at. So to think that he was going to be rescued, was just, it was just not going to happen. Where a lot of soldiers, a lot of troops were, oh, we're going to be rescued in December, Christmas time. And Christmas time came and went. They didn't get rescued, and so on and so forth. And eventually hopelessness set in, and they died from giving up hope. But he just knew that, hey, at the end of the day, I may not ever get saved, but I'm not going to die losing hope. And so the brutal truth is that this is going to be a different election than 2020, right? There's no COVID, there's no mail-in ballots. And so this is going to be the act of the people getting out to go into the polls and voting. I'm in California, so I'm a little bit different. Yeah, I know we have mail-in, so I'm not worried about my state, but there are other states where they don't do the mail-out ballots. You won't be able to do the same strategy to where you think about that 75 million that Trump got, the 81 million that President Biden got. It's not going to be the same. It's going to have to be a real good, strong strategic game plan and getting people excited. You already see some of the split conversations is happening. I would be careful, if part of that strategy, I would be careful about mentioning, especially at the debate, about saying that she likes going after ex-felons and getting them locked up. Because if I was on Trump's campaign team, the first thing I would say is, well, yeah, I'm not black, because there is that conversation of her locking up 2,000 black men when she was a DA. And you don't want to give that as a soundbite, because that's what the Republicans like to do, is use sound bites to create this false narrative. And then there's another Twitter space going on right now to say she's set up to lose because black men is not going to vote for her. So there has to be, just like there's 20,000 black women coming together, you got to get the same thing with black men, and look at it from a different perspective. And I think that that conversation needs to start happening in a lot of these spaces, to where we look at it and say, hey, democracy is on the line. A lot of the issues that people may not think is pertaining to you is on the line. And you have to make this you have to make this election personal. It has to be personal to each and every individual, because I think that right there is where the Republicans are trying to speak to the personal issues, even though they don't have a solution. And that's another thing that people is allowing them to get away with, allowing them to make it seem like they're speaking to their issues, but not really making it to where I have a solution for your issue. So there's no personal, connection to it. It just sounds good, but it's not really an honest approach, because when you look at their policies, there has never been a significant policy within the Republican Party that has worked towards anyone inside of some of these communities that they're simply trying to, pander to. But at the end of the day, like I said, enjoy the excitement today. But the brutal truth is, tomorrow there's got to be work. They're already dropping the birther thing. I've been seeing quite a few people saying she's not qualified to run for president because both her parents wasn't, citizens of the United States. So, it seemed like when there's a black candidate running in that position, it seemed like we the only ones got to be qualified to show our our birth certificate. Everybody else can just walk in and say, I'm running, and there's no questions asked. And the lack of saying that she's not qualified. I mean, district attorney, attorney general, um, you know, um, U.S. Senator, Vice President of the United States. I mean, she's more qualified for the position than Trump was when he ran. And I land here, probably one of the most exciting things, given the fact that I'm locally, the biggest reason why I left the Republican Party, is the American Rescue Plan. That's something that individuals need to start sharing all over, because the American Rescue Plan has been very instrumental, especially locally here in my community. We were able to put a lot of that funds to strengthen our water infrastructure, strengthen our roads, our bridges, our levees. I mean, we created, thousands, tens of thousands of jobs just in my city alone off that American Rescue Plan. And guess what? She was that deciding vote at the time when Senate was split. Remember when she came in? So that was the first time in a long time that ever been a vice president had to be the deciding vote, and she was that. And so, there's a lot of things that hang your head up high. There's a lot of reasons to celebrate. But this isn't the victory. Like, I'm a Charger fan, right? And I know we used to getting excited just making it to the playoffs, but there's some teams like the Patriots, right? The New England Patriots, that they're looking more than just conference championships. And so we can't get excited off of just today, because these next 4 months is going to be a slugfest. It's going to be brutal. And I mean, they've already dropped a commercial attacking her character. So they were ready for this. Like, they have been, it's kind of like sitting back just saying, okay, as soon as we find out who it's going to be, let's attack the character. And it's already starting. So, wake up tomorrow knowing that there's work got to be done. And I'll land there. Thank you. And I see that you're running for city council in Raleigh, which is a beautiful thing. When I ran for city council in my city, it's a great, great feat to run for office. And I encourage anybody, at least one time in your life, run for a seat for something. Get that experience, get that feeling of it. But it's a joy of really listening to the community and the people and finding out that how much people have been overlooked. Like, we talk about it a lot, but when you get out there on the campaign trails, you're going to hear a lot about, man, you're the first time I've ever met somebody running for office. Like, I can't tell you how many times the first time I've heard that. So soak that in. And Raleigh is a beautiful city. I was just out there. North Carolina is a beautiful city. I mean, unfortunately, you guys going up against Mark Robinson, which is a really sad statement to, person to be put into a governor's seat. And this is somebody I've known. I knew when I went out there, but it's just so much of a difference of opinion when I listened to that conversation. But I definitely am excited about the Harris. I could see could be Shapiro or Bashir. I think that those would be the two good picks, given the fact that they're in good swing states. But at the end of the day, this is going to be an exciting time for the next 4 months.
Yep, and thank you so much, Councilmember Hawkins, for being with us. And now we have Paul, who has his hand raised. Go ahead, Paul.
Daniel, I just wanted to say thank you for hosting the space. Thank you for allowing me up to speak earlier and now, because the fact of the matter is, without people like you, I wouldn't be able to use my voice in this way. And I want to genuinely express appreciation, especially because you and I only connected last night for the first time. And the fact that you trusted me enough to come up in your space and speak it means the world to me. And thank you to Sharky and Madam VP as well. I wanted to pop up, and I know this is trivial, but I've been on Spaces since 11 o'clock this morning, and I want to take a little break, because if I don't watch House of the Dragon, somebody is going to spoil it. So, but I wanted to leave on this note. I just read something that was very interesting that made me think about where we were in 2008 when Barack Obama was running, and the brilliant marketing of that he chose during that campaign, the images of him that went all over the nation, of his face with the word hope on it. Now, I don't know what Kamala is going to do, but the minute I read that, I said, I'm feeling that today. I am feeling that excitement and that push behind a candidate that I don't think I felt since Barack Obama. And again, I don't know what she's going to choose for her campaign slogans, but the wind is at her sails as far as I'm concerned. The money that she is raising tonight from normal, everyday people tells me that we're on our way. We just got to ride this wave. It's not going to be the easiest wave in the world. We're going to have a lot of mud thrown at her and us in the next couple of weeks. But with a little nod to what I just said a minute ago, when people make you mad, just picture yourself on top of a biggity old dragon, and you look at them and just say, Dracaris, breathe that fire. We're just going to burn everything up in a good way. Go Kamala. Thanks again for the time.
Yes, and we thank you. Yes, we were in a space last night, and I tell you, I co-hosted that space in Bay. It was something. It was good. It was good. As always, having Noah at the helm, but oh man, we just had one individual who just kept poking at the bear. Um, and I tell you, I got tired of it. I'm glad he did not come in here tonight because he would have had his feelings hurt. He would have had his feelings hurt big time. And you know who I'm talking about, Paul. So he would have had his feelings hurt big time. So I do appreciate you coming up to speak. Um, we have had an awesome time this evening. I want to be good stewards of people's time, but I felt like we had a good um an awesome space. This has been by far um one of the best spaces I think I've been able to do, besides running for office and talking about the campaign priorities. And by the way, folks, next month I will start back spaces full time. um so so I will be sending out some things in the coming days, um as to what we'll be discussing and da da da. And I would love to have some good co-hosts and good speakers. um so I'll be sending out DMs shortly to be asking for that, um because I will be hosting spaces until the election, by God's grace. I'll be working and all that still, but we will have at least an hour spaces, um and good stewards of everyone's time. But Paul, thank you so much for coming.
You're welcome. Keep me on your short list for co-host. If I have the time, I will be happy to help. It's just tonight I got to go see some dragons.
Oh, don't feel bad, cause I'm gonna tell you, I missed out on some TV time too today, but I did need it to get this space in, before I try to relax and go to sleep, because that's what's gonna happen on the next item of the agenda. Um, but yeah, thank you, Paul. I will definitely keep you on the list. You'll be on the top 5, along with Madam VP and Sharky and many others for co-hosting. Um, but Joey, good to see you. Um, for those who missed his remarks, they missed a treat too. Um, you know, and I appreciate everybody that did come up to speak today. Um, Madam Co-host, did you want to say anything? I know you've been having some tech issues here and there.
Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay. I don't want to sound repetitive. Um, oh, they just changed the Biden Harris campaign account to Kamala's H. Hold on. Hold on.
Sharky, are you still there?
I had gum in
Yep.
my mouth.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
They changed the Biden Harris campaign to Kamala's HQ. So now they have it changed. Um, And then the bio says providing context. Um, it's going to be an interesting week. Um, it has been an interesting. What has it been? 8 hours. Um, we're in this thing to win, and we're going to mobilize, and we're going to. I can't wait for the convention. To all the people who think they're going to do something, sorry, because by Wednesday she's going to be our nominee, so you can go ahead and cut it out. Whatever you're trying to play games, Chuck Schumer, you can kiss my ass. You're irrelevant as fuck. I don't even know why you might as well change your party to Republican because you just tried to mix and mingle and nobody likes you. You're not getting one delegate. Nobody's voting for you. Maureen Wilson, you're not a challenge to the vice president, so you just need to end your campaign. Um, didn't she end her campaign and then redo her campaign? Or who was that? That was somebody. But what was I gonna say? We got this, y'all. Don't give up hope and let's go win.
Yep, let's go and win. Uh, we, folks, I tell you what, um, it's not an option. It's not an option to go win. Um, you know, we have an opportunity now. We have heard the call. Now it's time to act. And Retrumplicans, they say, "Oh, we're gonna fight like hell," but uh, they don't know what fighting like hell really is like um, until you've had somebody like Kamala. So I'm looking forward to her really fighting like hell on the campaign trail. And she's came to my state dozens of times already, and I'm looking forward to her coming to North Carolina a lot more as we go into the election. Um, and so, Sharky, I don't know if you want to say anything before we move on to our next speaker.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important. Can everyone hear me?
We
Um, okay, I think it's really important. As so many, you're right. It's been a really great room. I know there's been some connection issues, but I feel like that's just going to keep happening with more and more people running spaces. I think it's really important to stay focused, and as I mentioned earlier before, and again, some other speakers, it's kind of the grieving process of being shocked, you know, feeling that moment of being sad for Biden, but also getting back just like he is, because he's still our president, until the election, of just kind of going into the workhorse mood would probably be what I would say best. And getting behind Kamala Harris. And I know some people have disagreed with me apparently because I've always been 10 toes down for her even before this. But that's the reality that we have. I'm happy about it. If you're not, I would quickly get there. It looks like there's a lot of people across social media and in general, that are very happy about this. And, Biden did make this decision. We don't know yet who the VP will be, but I think it's important to keep reaching out to each other, canvas, and I'm just feel like everything's in good hands with Kamala, as I said in other spaces before this happened. So I think you need to get behind her, and that's all I can say. And I hope that I really like this. The we are with calm like 2024, like I like some of the hashtags that are already coming out. So Cam, but yeah, that's all I have to say. Thank you, Daniel.
Yes, thank you, Madam Co-host. Um, Vocella,
Hi, how's everyone doing?
we're doing well, thanks.
Yes, so like the previous speaker said, a lot of people are feeling a little bit of sadness, um, but we're also invigorated because our candidate, Kamala, she's definitely can whoop Trump. The only people that we need to worry about is or the Democrat donors. And if we pass that test, I think we are on our way to victory, like in no time, because she's really sharp, and she can take Trump in no time. And now is really time for us to canvas. A lot of people on social media with large following are encouraging people to wait until November and to vote and this and that and the other. We can't wait until November. It's not, it's not a matter of I vote anymore. It's we're gonna need to. I put the Vorcella thing on. It's like a worldwide effort, really, because they're gonna come at us with everything they've got, and we need to stay standing, and we need to start mobilizing like as soon as possible, and not wait until October to start gearing up, like other people are suggesting. And I like spaces like this, and I like hearing that people are about the canvassing, because that's how we win elections. And I'm encouraged, although I am sad, because I talked a lot of shit about how Biden was gonna really whoop Trump, but Kamala can do it even better. So that's what I had to say, and I'd like, uh, to ask for some help because my account is being shadow banned. You can imagine, because I'm about telling or encouraging or inviting the large folks, the people with large following, to actually do the canvassing and the phone banking and things like that, and that's what I post a lot about. So because of course of the hashtag Vocella 2024 and the connotation, the wordplay on Coachella is intentional, and it's to kind of invigorate and peak the younger voters, and to making voting cool and things like that. That's my aim with that. So I'm really encouraged, and I really thank you for having me on in your space. I don't know if I'm following anyone or not, but you popped up, and I was driving while I added the myself to the space. So I will follow everyone that I'm not following, and keep up the faith. Thank you so much.
Yes, and thank you, Vocella, for that. Folks, I want you to know today that we have had, indeed, we have had a high day. I say a bittersweet moment today, um, as democracy um, is slowly moving on, um, and as we reflect and as we go through the next couple of weeks. We're at the end of July now, so we are really getting closer to the convention, um, and the people will have their voice heard. The Democratic chair of the convention said, he made it clear. He made it clear that there will be no alternatives. There won't be no secret nothing. So for those who really want secrecy during this process, well, that wish kind of got denied because that ain't happened. Um, but I want us to know today, and I want to be good stewards of people's time because I know it's almost 11 o'clock in the night on my side of town. I think most of us live in Eastern Standard Time anyway. Um, but I do appreciate everyone coming on today. This has been by far, we have had some good turnout today for spaces, despite the tech issues we've had. Um, and so as we prepare to close out our space, I want us to really keep up the fight and keep up the good faith. Um, and I want us to really continue on making sure that we have democracy at the helm, um, and make sure that Kamala Harris and the new VP pick, hopefully that'll be coming out in the next couple of weeks too. Um, and raising a lot of cash before the convention is no big joke either. A lot of people, oh, that's not possible. Well, here we are. Um, and so folks, I'll let the co-hosts close us out, and I'll close out our time together. But I have really enjoyed each of you today, and we will have Twitter Spaces full time as I continue my election. Bid for city council in Raleigh. So, all right, co-hosts, y'all have the floor.
Well, I've said everything I needed to say tonight in this space. Um, it was emotional. It was a joyous day. We're voting for the future now with Madam Vice President. Um, yeah, it's it, it's been a day. It's been a month past month and a half. Um, we got this in the bag. We're not letting these MAGAs and these Republicans take power. We're cleaning them out in November. Make sure you vote down ballots. Make sure you really know who you're voting for, even if they're a Democrat. Because we don't need no more Christian cinemas or Joe Mansions in the Senate. Um, so vote down ballot. Vote in your state and local races. Um, and keep the faith. Let's go win. Vice President Kamala Harris for president. Oh, we love to see it.
Yeah, and just to piggyback on what Fax said, I would say also don't let media get to you because they will. There's people in our own party that are infighting, saying, "This is going to be bad." That's not what we need. We need to stay positive. But it's not just positivity. Again, she would have taken over if something happened to Biden. I think we can all give big hearts to him, the things that he said today and everything he's done through his administration. But she also worked in tandem with him. So we have to give a lot of credit to her, who very well possibly, and let's hope it goes this way, is our next president. So if the MAGA camps mad and the news is confused, good, let them be. Let's not confuse them and join together and come up bigger than ever before. And it might seem cliche or, oh, this is easy to do, or you think it's this. It really doesn't matter. Weirder things have happened before. Trump didn't even pick his VP until last week. Things can happen. And it looks like, Fax mentioned this, and I think it's up there in the nest. Someone else posted about her officially being the nominee come Wednesday. And you might see people that really will show off for her that maybe were on the fence about Joe Biden. So that's a big deal too. So that's all I can say. And I know, again, it sounds cliche to say positive, but we have to be. We've had to do this for a long time. It's nothing new to us. So we got to band together and get that word and messaging out there as much as we can. And I'm excited for things. It can be scary right at this moment because it hasn't even been 24 hours, but we got to get the word out there and we got to fight. So with that, throw it back to you, Daniel.
Yes, and thank you to our co-host for co-hosting, and thank you to our speakers who have stepped up and made your voices heard. Um, I'm running for city council in Raleigh, North Carolina, and I will be doing my best to have more spaces next month. Um, I debated on doing a space today more so because I was going to wait until next month, but something had to be said now um, about the Biden campaign and how we're moving forward, and we already have our answer. We just have to continue on the fight and making sure that you know she is the nominee come November. Um, there's going to be a lot of changes now that states will have to now make because we all voted for Joe Biden in the primaries. So everybody's like, oh, and we got to do all this work and rah rah rah. Well, if you complain, like the old saying, if you can't stand the heat, you can't be in the kitchen. So with that, folks, I hope everybody has an awesome night. Um, I am truthfully going to end, um, by reminding us that there's a work that we must do, and I'm looking forward to all of our contributions to the Harris campaign. And not only that, folks, I would encourage everyone to make a donation to my campaign too, as I continue running for office and delivering for the people of Raleigh and my district, of District C. And so, I would like to say good night to everyone, and let's continue advocating for democracy. It was good.
Good night,
Thank you so much,
everyone.
Daniel. Thank you. Facts. Have a good night, everyone.
You too.
Good night. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Good night, all.
Good night.